Damn, people. Six Borough Podcast, back at it again. All right. We're brought to you again, as always, again, by Made to Thrive, an American t-shirt company. www.madetothrive.us. Powered by America, even on the fucking internet. And I don't care if you're tired of me saying it. I love it. Check them out on Instagram at madetothrive.us. We're also brought to you by Municipal Land Survey, 631-345-2658. So if you are a homeowner and you have people that are annoying you, the trees hanging over their fence line, they're in your yard, their dog's shitting on your property, and you want to tell them to go fuck themselves, and you want to do it legally with some proof that they're encroaching on your property line, these are the people you need to call. They service all of the state of New York, so give them a call. We're also brought to you by AS Engineering, 631-560-0259, or on the internet at asengineeringservices.com for all of your architectural engineering needs. They do residential, commercial, structural. They service all of New York. You can check them out. Please do. They're one of the better engineering companies out there. I say this from experience. I'm not going to go into detail, but we had some issues on our own property that they sorted out for us. So thanks again, guys. Today's guest is Matt Gorton. He is a New York design director and a freelance designer. He's worked with some pretty major companies doing clothing design. He also ran his own clothing company for a little while. Check out his website, www.matt-gorton.com. And that's Gorton, Gorton, not to be confused with Gordon. So once again, www.matt-gorton.com. Learn how to spell, you fucks. Also, you can follow him on Instagram at Matt Gorton. It's pretty simple. MattGorton. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We love you. Thanks for all the support. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate all our sponsors for helping us out and helping us do what we love, and we wouldn't be able to do it without any of you guys. So just want to say thank you to everybody. All right, enjoy.
All right, guys, we're live. Let's get into it.
All right, Six Borough Podcast. I'm D-Rock.
Yarbs.
Eric Ott.
Skagga. And our guest,
Matt Gorton.
So Matt, you're a pretty interesting guy, man.
Thank you.
You're a Renaissance man, I would say.
A little bit.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. You are in one of my favorite hardcore bands.
Thank you very much.
Entourage.
Thank you.
And we were just talking about how I discovered this too, which is an interesting story. And we'll cover that in a second. But explain how you got started in their hardcore scene on Long Island.
Well, started going to shows when I was 13. Like, I was big into Rage Against the Machine, like, in middle school before I was old enough to go to shows at all. I think the first show I went to was, like, the guys from Brand New's original band, Rookie Lot and Yearly, inside, and I want to say Sound Majority played also. And just from then on, like, every single weekend I go to a show, like Friday, Saturday night, like, really got into that and became friends with people through that instead of high school. Like, friends in high school that were into that, maybe like 5 or 6 people. But that's like kind of the...
Where'd you go to high school?
Hop-up.
Okay.
When I say 5 or 6, it was like literally 5 or 6 kids, and we all went to shows in the weekend. So, of course, like, immediately, like, wanted to play in a band.
Right.
So, started playing guitar, had horrible bands to start. This band Embrace, which we played, like, the high school talent show, was awful. There's video out there of it. It's not good.
Can we find it?
I think we covered an Overthrow song, if you remember them.
Overthrow.
Which is pathetic because they were, like, still kids playing, but you didn't know it as, like, a kid is 14 years old. You see this band playing a hardcore show, and it's like, oh, would it be like them? But they're like 16 or 17. You don't realize that. You just think like, oh, it's a big band. So we played that. Then when I was 17, I started Entourage with a few other guys. They were real like new metal dudes. So started getting like a little serious, and ended up getting a guitar player from Seaford, who I'm super close friends with now. A drummer. Do you guys remember Center of Zero?
No.
They were another old Long Island hardcore band, but like their drummer was from there. We started playing shows. Played the first show with Shy Lude, which was
Shy Lude, another one of my
which was awesome.
bands.
Like for that to be our first show was sick.
That's your first show with Shy Lude?
Yeah, like it was. I mean, it was a while ago, so like they were still like decent size, but just like gotten this good show.
Wait, around what year was this?
There's no I can pinpoint. No, I can. 2000? No, 99 or 2000.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, even in '99, Shy Lude was pretty.
Yeah,
big.
they were.
I mean, big in terms of hardcore.
Yes, absolutely. So we played a lot of Long Island shows, and then we started touring a bit. Released a demo, and then our first album was called Shakedown Tonight. It was on Triple Crown Records.
Yeah.
And we just started touring from there. Like, I was in college full time, so it was a little tough. And everyone else wasn't in college, had jobs, so it was a little easier, like nothing serious to get into it. So that's kind of how that came about.
I remember seeing you guys play at the Downtown.
That was it with Unearth?
Oh man, I don't remember. I saw Unearth a few times, so I don't remember. But I got into you guys because of my friend Phil Kocher.
Oh, Phil.
You know Phil, right?
Plays hockey?
Yeah,
Phil?
he's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
hockey fanatic.
Yeah.
He's the one who turned me on to you guys, and Phil knew your singer, Neil.
I would have never guessed that's how you knew us through Phil. That connection makes no sense.
Well, I went to high school with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because Phil's just such a, like, I picture Phil, like, Phil was like a real, like, gothy kid when he was going to shows and, like, almost new metal-ish.
Yeah,
And
I've known Phil since, some point in elementary school. I think me and Phil were friends. So I've known him for a long time. And
did he go to college with Neil?
I don't know exactly. I don't know the connection there, to be honest with you. I don't know the connection. But I was into hardcore, and so was Phil, and he knew Neil, and that's how I heard of you guys, and that's how I got into you guys.
Okay. Neil was the one other person I went to high school with. Neil and I were friends since maybe like 12 or 13 years old. So that was like the close bond. We played in all the shitty bands before together, and then we started Antarami together, and then he went to Hofstra and I went to Delphi. So that's when we were playing like more seriously and touring at that point.
Okay, yeah, and I remember Phil was in Pratt, because I remember going to visit Phil at Pratt.
I don't know why, but I visited Phil at Pratt one time too. I don't know if it was through Neil or like...
Oh, I wonder, we might have met prior to all that then. That's funny.
That's so funny. I remember that was the only time I've ever been at Pratt, and it just sticks in my head. Like, I was going to see Phil, and I was like, that's such a weird thing. Okay, yeah. Weird.
So, interesting story is, fast forward now, what?
2 years ago? 10
years into the future.
4 years?
2013, I'm teaching jiu-jitsu at a spot in Bayport, and I know your wife.
And you and I had met. I don't know if you remember it. I barely remember it.
I was pretty drunk.
And so I was too. You came for a wedding.
Yeah, I came from my buddy Matt Kropp's wedding. He had his wedding at the Bourne Mansion. So we went. Yeah, so we went down the road. You were there that night, gang. We went down the road to the Portly.
Wait, was he in the Portly with you?
He was working.
I was the guy at the door.
The bouncer. Okay.
I was the handsome gentleman in the tie.
Yeah, good hair.
That makes sense.
How can you forget that hair?
Yeah.
I didn't have all this back then.
We're at the Portly. I'm all drunk, and I'd known Karen through mutual friends. We'd met probably in 2007 through mutual friends, and she had mentioned a couple times to me about you would want to learn jiu-jitsu and this and that. We'd finally met. Me and Matt finally met face to face tonight. Hammered drunk. I was hammered. He was hammered. Struck up a quick conversation. Actually, it was a long conversation.
Yeah.
But anyway, to your credit, and Eric, you can vouch on this. Never does anybody who approaches you cold like that, like, oh, I want to train, do they ever show up?
99.9% of people never show up.
But you notice I wanted to do it for a while, but like I needed so being a freelancer and working for yourself, there is like coming back to that and then back to this. There's a weird downfall where you come not like introverted, but like you don't like if you're working in like an office environment, you're talking to 20 people a day. But when you're doing freelance from home, like you're on the phone all the time, like with phone meetings on Skype, but like not in a huge environment. So then like mentally going to something like a class as an adult, there's that like barrier to entry where you're just like, I'm weird about this. So I wanted to do it for like 2 years. So like Dave and I got along really well, and then like Stu like just come down. I was like, all right, fuck it, like you're there, I'm gonna come down.
Yeah. And I give you a lot of credit for that because, like I said, and Eric's been training longer than I have, so he knows. Nobody Nobody ever comes, especially
Yeah.
the drunk conversation.
Oh,
Bro, you train? I want to train. It never happens.
I just want to walk away whenever those conversations start. I'm like, oh, this guy, he's been telling me this for 6 years now. And I like hit myself in the head, and I like, you give him that sort of like smile. Oh, yeah, whatever you want, buddy. Give him a pat on the back and turn around and get away as fast as you can.
I think because also like I was drunk too. Like you have that feeling the next day, like, oh, what did I say? And then like it's like, oh, I said this. Like, all right, well, that's good. And like, all right, I'm gonna follow up on that. So like, you don't want to be the guy that's just like, oh, come on, dude, like this or whatever. Drunk the next day, like just like, yeah, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, to your credit, you showed up when you said he would. Like a week later, he shows up to class, and so we start to warm up, and I put music on. I throw on like a quick shuffle, and it starts playing some of my like hardcore music, and Matt's into it. We're jogging, we're doing the warm ups, and then all of a sudden, Entourage from the Shakedown Tonight album, one of their songs come on, and we're running, and me and Matt were bullshitting while we're running, and he's like, Entourage? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, He's like, yeah. He's like, whose iPod is this with the music? I'm like, it's mine. He's like, no shit. This is my band. And I was like, what? And you just told me it was your very first class too, apparently.
oh yeah, for sure, it was the first 5 minutes because I remember there was 2 songs before that were. It was Poison the Well and 18 Visions. I remember like distinctly being like, "Holy shit, this is great!" And then I came on, I was like, "This is very weird." Like,
How many years after the fact was this? Like, when you were with the band, how many years later?
10.
So this is
My
like...
last show. Wow. So I think the first class I took was March 2013. My last show was March 2003.
So this
So
is
10 years.
This is a
Decade.
legitimate decade.
Yeah.
About a solid decade later.
Like almost to the day.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty like a surreal experience, like for the average person that will never have that experience, to be involved in a band and then a decade later you're at a random gym doing a jiu-jitsu class and somebody's got it on their iPod, no less, and it's just random shuffle. Next thing you know, like, oh shit, this is my band, holy fuck.
But it was like kind of like the perfect culmination of events. It was like this thing I wanted to do for a while, and then like someone was like, "Oh, this is kind of perfect." And then like I remember I left the class and texted the drummer of the band because he was very into boxing, but he just like never went and actually did it, like did CrossFit and stuff. So I was like, "Dude, like this happened to me. Like just it's a sign. Like go do something." So
Did he ever do it?
no. He got super into CrossFit, and like he lives in Queens. He's like, if I was out there, I would come to class with you. It's like the whole like.
Well, if you're listening,
Chris.
start training, Chris.
Yeah. Get down to a boxing gym and get some work in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's plenty in Queens, man. So, yeah, and it's funny because after that, Matt was full blast into jiu-jitsu after that,
Yeah.
man. And I missed that spot. We had a good thing going.
That's the other thing is the class was a good class, and like there was no ego there, which I kind of like. I don't know that I expected going to. I didn't know what to expect, but like you expect the little ego things you see, and it just didn't have that vibe.
Well, good. I take that as a compliment.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really like one of those sports where ego, I mean, they say check your ego at the door, but I mean, if you don't, there's usually going to be plenty of people there that'll kick the ego
They'll take
out
care
of
of it
you.
for you. Yeah.
They check it for you.
Yeah.
Check it yourself, or someone will check it for you.
I've heard Joe Rogan say this before, and I think he nails it. If you don't have a healthy ego, you cannot do jiu-jitsu
No.
because you need an ego to survive, right? But it has to be healthy enough to understand that you're not special and
Yeah.
you're going to lose. And if you don't have a healthy ego where you can accept those things and keep going, you're not gonna make it through jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is pretty good at weeding out those individuals.
It taught me a lot. Like even the first, like sounds like cheesy, but the first week or two, it's like, oh, I'm in this class with a dude that's 15. He's half my age, like maybe even 14. And it was like, oh, he just tapped me like 5 times. Like you got to not reevaluate, but you got to think about your spot in like the evolutionary chain. Like I'm a 30-year-old man, I should be able to handle a 15-year-old. It's like not even close. And it's like still, like 5 months in, still not close. So it's like it teaches you something.
When I first began Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think it was 2000 or 2001, and the gym that I began training at, or one of the gyms that I was at initially, was next to, I think it was a Gold's Gym or New York Sports Club or something like that. And we would get like the bodybuilder types that would come into our gym all the time. And they would come in and say, oh, I want to try a class. And you'd get these guys that were on testosterone, and they're all like these big built juice head guys in their 20s to like mid 30s. And they would come into class, and you'd show them a couple moves, run them through the warm-up, and they'd make it through the warm-up, no problem. And then the instructor, I have a younger brother, and he was 13 or 14, I guess he was 12 or 13 maybe at the time when he first began. And he was probably like 135 pounds soaking wet.
But he was a natural, too. Though.
Yeah, he was very good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the instructor would say, okay, for your first grappling experience, your first roll, you're going to go with Chris Ott. And they would look at my younger brother. He's real thin, real frail, and just these big muscular guys would start to grapple with them, and he would make them feel bad about themselves. I mean, now, like, having progressed in the game, you realize that's not probably the best thing you should do to, like, a new student when they come into the gym, is just steal their ego out from under them, this big, like, bodybuilder guy or whatever, because a lot of them walked out and never came back. Like, that was, like, their one and only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience, getting beat up by a 14-year-old that weighs 140 pounds.
See, I felt like that was good, though. Like, that happened to me, and they gave me the opposite experience. Like, oh, shit, this can happen. Like, this is not okay, like, in real life. Like, not that I want to beat up a 14-year-old, but, like, at least you want to, like, hold your own.
A lot of 14-year-olds I want to beat up.
Well, to be fair, like, there was even, I was 2 months in, and these two guys were in it that you were friends with, that it was one guy who was, like, probably our age, and his younger brother who was, like, 12. Like Asian or Filipino.
Eddie Gomez.
Yes,
Eddie and Chris Gomez.
How old is his younger brother?
His younger brother is
At
now
2013. How old is he?
He might be 16 or 17 now, yeah.
So he was probably anywhere from 12 to 13 years old.
And he was a little kid. Mm-hmm. And, like, I was like months in, and like I was holding my own barely with this kid, and he was like.
To be fair, though, he was also a wrestler his whole life too. At that point.
Okay, so that's things I had.
This is the Gomez from Top Med.
Yes,
he's
he's
a nasty wrestler. He was very good this year.
Yeah,
he obviously knew what he was doing. Like, it was very still. You're wrestling with this snake that's half your size, and it's like this person has the upper hand on me, and it's like I think it's if you're the guy who goes in and that happens, you go, I'm not going to do that again. I don't think that's a good mindset at all. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a weak mindset.
That's a prevailing mindset for most people, though.
It is.
It's weak, though.
And you have the healthy ego, because what you're saying should happen is exactly what happened to me. My first class, I showed up. I was this guy that went to the gym. I thought I was tough. I was in street fights and stuff like that. And I wasn't going down there thinking I was going to be a badass. I was going down there hoping I would get beat up. And I trained with a guy named Ramon, the owner of Over Under Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're over in Middle Island now, and he put it on me like none other. And he probably only weighed 140 pounds at the time, and I was like 195 pounds, 6'3", super athletic. And he really turned it on, and he choked me, I don't know, half dozen times in like 4 or 5 minutes. And I remember thinking, oh fuck, this is where I got to be, man. Yeah. This is where I have to be.
Yeah. I had a very similar experience my first time coming down, and when I first started training, I was 230 pounds, lifting all the time. I was benching like over 300. I was pretty athletic most of my life, with the exception of the fat period.
Which we bring up constantly.
Yeah, so I'm not saying anything anybody knows.
Me and the boys.
But prior to my chubby years, I was an athlete. I played basketball my whole life, and then at this point of my life, I was big into football. I actually made a semi-professional team at this point, and I was lifting. I was big, strong, athletic, and I thought I would hold my own at least. Even though I knew what jiu-jitsu was, I didn't expect to pick it up right away. And I remember going down and I rolled with Mikey Triangles, a kid who...
Yeah, he was real frail and real thin.
Maybe 130
super
pounds.
Super technical, yep.
Super technical, and he strangled me, over and over again like it was nothing. And I thought, I would be decent. I didn't think I would get killed the way I got killed. And I was like, wow, this is exactly where I need to be. And I was like, all the squats and all the bench presses I've done are fucking worthless. And right then and there, I signed up for a full year at the gym, at the jiu-jitsu gym, and I never went back to the regular gym. I never lifted a weight again. I never did anything. And it was a humbling experience. I was like, yeah, I need to learn this. I need to know this, because if a kid who was as frail as he is, and he's like, I remember thinking distinctly in my mind, like, if I saw this kid in a bar, I would think I would throw him through a wall or something like that. Like, And now Mike, shout out to Mike. Mike is the head instructor of
Alan
Belcher's gym down in Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
And he's a black belt now. He's been a black belt for 2-3 years. Mike's Mike's amazing, and I'm pretty lucky to have been able to share the mats with guys like him and Ramon even too when we first started. I remember training with Ramon. Ramon was a blue belt at the time. All these guys are now black belts, and they're all pretty legit. So,
but I also think that's why, like you're saying, like all these guys that come in, they're just like weightlifters, just thinking they're gonna prove something. It's not that kind of sport. It doesn't seem like, because like it got me more than anything thinking. Like it was always like, get out of class, couldn't go to sleep, so just like thinking, like it's that human chess aspect where it was like,
what it is. It's a chess
watching
match.
every day, like 7 o'clock the class or 8 o'clock. I was watching YouTube videos from 7 to 7:30, and it was like too early on. Like I didn't know what I was doing, but I just like wanted to try to learn some other way too. So it's interesting. It's super interesting.
And it gets real addictive too. Initially, you'll start coming up with other guys, and you'll see these other guys, and you'll have to miss class for a couple days for whatever reason, and you'll be like, oh fuck, they're gonna get better than me. They're gonna learn some shit, and they're gonna get better than me, and then I'm gonna get tapped out by them. And we were just neck and neck. And I used to be super competitive, and I remember being angry if I had to work overtime and stay late at work, and I was going to miss class on one of my like days that I went every week. Like, oh, they're gonna miss me. They're gonna learn new shit without me. Fuck.
This is like the same concept as to why Eric Uresk can bounce. He's not a big guy, but he's a monster. Like, I wouldn't want to roll with him, but I'm probably twice the size of him. Like, he's, training in Thailand right now? Yeah. It's that same concept. The small guy knows what he's doing. He could house you.
Yeah, well, Eric's also just mean. So that really helps.
Yeah, he might be the meanest person on the planet. Like, short of someone who's committed war crimes.
He's like Pol Pot. They're about the same size probably anyway. But Matt, you should pat yourself on the back for being part of the minority in terms of one of the people who had those conversations and actually saw it through and had the balls to come down and do it. Because and me and Eric have had this conversation. In 10 years, you are probably the only person I've ever had a conversation in a bar with who was like, yo, I want to come train, and then a week later, the day you said you were going to show up, because I remember telling you, like, oh, classes are, when were classes? Tuesday nights then, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, classes are Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you're like, I'll be there this Tuesday,
Yeah.
and you fucking weren't.
Yeah. Well, I have to do it again then. Because, you know what it is? Like, like, things happen and, like, you weren't at the school anymore and, like, I ended up not going anymore. And that was oh my God, almost a year and a half ago now. And it's like, I'm super getting the itch now. It's like, I never stopped, like, I was watching the other night that, the EBI 6, and it was like, so, like, watch UFC constantly and, like, enjoy it. Like, my wife will watch it with me and enjoy it enough. And that was on the other night, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta alert my phone. I started watching it, really enjoying it, and that was like her drawing the line, being like, listen, I'll watch like
MMA,
like,
but
I can't watch this. Like,
this is too much.
This is too much, and like she went to bed, and I finished watching it and like enjoyed it. I was like, all right, I have to get back to it. So it was like pure jiu-jitsu, and just watching it, I was like, oh, I remember like how fun that was and how mental it was.
Yeah. Well, fuck you, because I gave a pretty good speech before I left. Like, don't stop doing jiu-jitsu.
I know,
just because I'm
know.
leaving, which I didn't want to leave that.
I know.
It sucks that there was some underlying circumstances that forced that program to come to an end, and I was real bummed about it because I really, really did enjoy that, and I did not want to see that happen. I didn't want to see some of you guys lose steam, and I know some people did. Some people are still training, but it's a bummer that happened because I knew you were into it, and you were religious. You never missed. I remember getting texts from him. He's like, "Dude, I can't come tonight." I'm like, "You don't have to tell me."
But I felt horrible. I hated it.
Like I said, like when you're first starting out, you don't want to miss a night.
Yeah.
You get real addicted. You just want to improve, and it's that human chess match, that constant using your brain and articulating your body to defeat whatever your opponent's trying to do to you and come out on top. And I don't know. Not now. Sometimes I train with some real badasses, but like usually I'll leave class feeling better about myself at the end, even if I get like a little bit of a whooping. Once in a while, I'm in there with some studs and they put it on me, and I'm just like, "Fuck, man, what am I doing? I'm 33. I'm an old man."
Yeah.
But most of the time, we'll say 99% of the time, I feel good about myself when I leave class.
I mean, for me, any small accomplishment, like I was like, "Oh, I feel good." Like, I mean, even when like you have absolutely no accomplishment, you still leave feeling like, "All right, I accomplished something by doing this," and learning like the slightest new thing, or like getting a little more in shape or something.
Yeah,
now.
sweat out some poison that
Exactly.
you put into your body.
Yeah.
You're lapping everybody on the couch, man.
What do you mean?
Because there's a lot of people who come home
Oh,
and they just sit on the couch.
Yeah, I know.
So even if you're not a fucking stud muffin, you're lapping
Yeah.
everybody on the couch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's. I used to tell this. You know this. I used to tell all my students this. Jiu-jitsu's not easy. It's hard. You have to. It's hard in the body. It's hard in the mind, and it's hard when you're tired to get up and go there, and it's hard to deal with the ego of, like you said, some 15-year-old kid choking you out. It's not an easy thing to do. So, in my opinion, just getting up and going, you're better than you were the day before, and you're better than everybody else on the couch. And I think that in itself is enough of a reward, not to mention everything else that you get from it. So,
it's definitely like healthy competition too. Like you saying that there was one guy that was going there that I was able to hold my own a little bit with, but like he had a wrestling background, so I had no wrestling background. Like I played I skateboarded, played baseball, so it doesn't qualify you at all for that. But
that doesn't translate.
Yeah, I know, right? But he I would miss like Dave said, miss 2 classes in a row. And shit, coming back on Tuesday after a Wednesday, Thursday, oh, were you here the class system? He was like, oh, I missed it too. It's like, oh, okay, good. I can roll today.
you definitely
We roll. It's fine.
Yeah.
So we covered the band, we covered a little bit of jiu-jitsu, like I said, Renaissance, man. You've been all over the place. So now I know you had a clothing company.
Yes.
So what was the name of the clothing company again?
It was CXXVI Clothing Co. Okay. It's really tough to remember, which you probably should have thought about better, but that is also why it did well. People would be like, oh, that's in the industry, people would be like, oh, that's that CX or whatever. It's like you're not getting it right, but you're at least remembering what it is. And then everyone would be like, what's it about? An annoying question, but obviously you're going to get it. So then at least it creates a conversation right away. And my partner and I that started this are designers, so we only thought about how it looked and how it was to design with those letters. And it worked really well, even though it's the weirdest thing to say it worked well, because it's a group of letters that don't work together. But our first logo that we ever designed was a play off the New York Hardcore logo, that the middle X was the X, and then the CVI went around it. So it played that way.
I like the firecracker shirt.
Thank you. Yeah, that was so this is the last. What we're looking at right now is the website that's up now, where everything just sold out because it's not live anymore.
Stagnant.
Yeah, but if you do a Google search for just CXXVI and images, you'll see a ton of stuff in there.
Cool, I might be able to get a shirt if I try hard enough.
Yeah. Check it. Probably at eBay.
I like that.
That's a pretty fucking awesome shirt.
Thank you.
The NY Torch.
So a lot of our things were based around New York. It sounds redundant and trendy to say now, because it's what people are doing now.
You mean this podcast?
We do something different. But when we were doing it, starting, everything was nostalgic Americana, New York. It was a little obnoxious, workwear, get your hands dirty type of thing. Mm-hmm. But that's what most of it was based around. If you look at all these designs, even that bottom of it where it says who needs friends when you have enemies, we were at this point, we went through a lot of really shitty things with the company that shouldn't have happened. So we have a little bit of a negative approach going into this last iteration of the company.
You're slightly jaded.
Yeah, that's to say the least. Yeah, we've been burned pretty bad.
I mean, at least you were authentic about it, because what I do know about you with the whole get your hands dirty thing, you're a builder, you like to build a lot of shit. It's it is who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, and to me, authenticity is a big thing. I like authenticity. I like when people are being the real them, and I think that sells itself. So this is really who you are anyway.
That's why people kind of gravitate towards this company. It seemed we were really big on behind the scenes. It was crazy. We were doing at the peak of the company probably 400,000 sales a year, and I was printing T-shirts till 1 a.m. My partner was he's like, all right, you go do the T-shirts. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna draw some new stuff from scratch. So it was always hands on. We had one dude who when we just couldn't handle it anymore would come in and print on our press from midnight to 5 a.m. because he didn't work then. Mm-hmm. So it was always authentic, which isn't.
You guys.
It's not a good business plan for growth,
because you don't have time to actually run the business
or show somebody else how to do the things that you're doing, because you're always behind. And that was the success and the downfall of the company, because we were 2 guys that did it. It was 100% self-funded, and in the clothing industry, companies order from you for like fall. Like say they're ordering from you now for August, you have to manufacture, sell everything, and you don't get paid till December.
Till they get what is it, net 90 or whatever
exactly,
it is.
Yeah. So it's kind of when you're doing it yourself, it's tough. It's real tough.
Mm-hmm. So you're financing everything, and you're covering all the inventory in the meantime, and not even for 90 days. You're covering the inventory essentially for 6-8 months in advance. It seemed like
it was usually 6 to 8 months, and I mean the thing that kept us going pretty well is we had good web sales. The company, for whatever reason, resonated really well in Europe and Canada, but really hard for whatever reason in Australia and Japan.
Interesting.
Like,
that's really
Japanese
interesting.
culture eats up Americana like crazy, and that's not an insult by any means. Like, it's just that if you go to Japan, they're replicating this old Levi's stuff better than the stuff that's actually there.
Well, they bought the looms.
Yes.
Didn't what is the name of the company? Was it PRPS or didn't one of the
PRPS has like Japanese looms, but
they're Japanese.
What are
looms?
looms?
they're these big old machines. I mean, they're not brand new looms that are computer operated, but they take raw cotton. And like the raw cotton goes into it, and it turns into thread, and it turns the thread into like denim or flat cotton. But like how they're so crazy about it. Last time half a year ago, in Japan, there's hundreds of thousands of these looms, and every single loom in Japan was making Uniqlo jeans for the next 6 months.
Really?
Like they were so nuts on it.
No one else. That's how big Uniqlo is now?
No one else could make a single piece of Japanese loom fabric because Uniqlo just said every single person that owns a loom, you're going to make our denim for the next 6 months to a year.
That's crazy because they don't even make jeans that fit me because I'm like too big. But I've gone into the store.
Godzilla size.
Yeah, I have cousins that are their mother married into the family. They're half Asian, and they were huge into Uniqlo a few years ago, and that was the first time I went to the store, and I was looking at the stuff on the mannequins, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool stuff. Let me pick some stuff out, and then I just realized I'm like 6'3", like 215 pounds. I'm like, wow, they don't really make anything. Their XX doesn't even fit me.
Well, if you think about it, like it's not, again, not being like racist or anything, but they made for the Japanese culture, which they're a lot smaller people. Mm-hmm. And now they're bigger than worldwide than the Gap. Uniqlo is massive.
Their stores are tremendous, comparatively speaking, to like the Gap. So
and their prices are even cheaper than the Gap. Mm-hmm. So like what they specialize in is that it's called selvage denim. Okay. Where like if you roll your cuff and you see this little red stripe on the side.
Yeah, you see the stripe on the inside.
That's selvage. Like all these Japanese machines, they roll
recycled.
Some of it is, yeah, but they roll these big like sheets of denim and they cap off the edge of the actual fabric with this red edge. And the way they make the jeans is with that. So, like, people started geeking out on that, where it's, like, selvage denim. But now everyone's just making fake selvage anyway. Like anything else. Like, it's just like, oh, you just put a red edge on it, so it's fine.
My friend actually used to work for Uniqlo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she used to do, like, all the email ad stuff.
Okay.
Because she was a graphic designer.
Yeah.
She did all the, email ad stuff. She's actually, it's Spain's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I actually introduced them. And they've been together now for almost 3 years, but she used to work for them, yeah.
I also don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or not. So I've heard every pronunciation.
I think it's Uniqlo is how it's actually.
Uniqlo. I don't know.
I guess I've heard. And like you look at the sign in and you can't tell.
I look at the sign and that's like hieroglyphics to me. It may as well be in Japanese or Chinese for that matter.
And it's funny, the culture in there, they brought over the culture where, and I didn't notice this until somebody pointed out to me, that if you hand them your credit card, they take it with two hands and take it and then give it back to you. And then I was at a meeting with a Japanese distributor. The business card, it's two hands to you and then two hands back. And I was like, oh, they put it so much into their culture that their employees have to do that.
It's such a respect thing.
Yeah,
so
which is cool. It's really cool.
The company that I work for, the company that we work with, that manufactures the equipment that we sell and distribute here in the U.S. is a Japanese company. So I have a lot of dealings with, people from Japan and from their office and things, and the emphasis that they put on quality and respect is unbelievable. It's absolutely crazy how they appreciate quantity so much, or quality so much over quantity. I work in the optical industry, and we have massive laboratories here that pump out eyeglasses to they'll run anywhere between 500 to 1,000 jobs a day through these labs, where their equipment the Japanese company, their equipment is able to handle this quantity, but they're not used to it. They don't ever see that in Japan.
Yeah.
So they'll come here and they will put their industrial equipment in these huge labs where they're pumping through this. They're working 24 hours a day, and they're just pumping equipment through, and they're not worried about what the equipment looks like. They don't care, how much debris is all over it, because they're used to they cut one job and then they clean the machine down, and then they wait, and then they put their next job in. Meanwhile, here it's quantity. It's pumping out. How fast can you push that stuff through? We don't care about quality, or we want okay quality, but quantity is more important.
You ever see the movie Fearless?
Yes.
Jet Li, when he's planting that shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but he's planting. He's like, because he's super competitive, he's like trying to hustle and go fast, and he fucks everything up, and he like learns the lesson to go slow. That's I don't know why, but that's just what it reminded me.
Yeah,
and that's like their culture. He had to like assimilate to that culture of like slow and taking pride in your work rather than like pumping it all out like that. It's a great fucking movie.
Like we like back in the day, you and I. This is Yarv's D-Rock now. We used to watch Ninja Warrior, and how pumped up these people would be. Like you'd see like people that work gas station attendants, and they would wear their uniform.
Oh yeah, the garbage man.
Yeah, the garbage man.
The
they would be
man.
so proud of what they did. Meanwhile, here, in the U.S., people like they can't wait to get that shit off quick enough. Because it's just a job. It's a paycheck coming in. But their culture is so
pride driven.
Exactly.
No, they're an amazing culture, and like they're insanely resilient. Like if you think about it, like it's horrible. 60 years ago, not that we did it, but like they were these massive cities that were bombed, and they were like millions of people killed. I don't know, millions, hundreds of thousands, but like they're thriving again. They were thriving 20 years ago. Like that says so much for a culture, and like a culture that's stuck on an island too.
That's what I mean.
They were isolationists for how many years?
Exactly. Yeah.
You look at these island nations, especially Japan, with it's very mountainous. They can't grow all of their own food. You have to be resilient.
Yeah.
Because you have to get out there. You have to import food to take care of your populations. Similar to England, that's why England has always been a success for essentially all of written history. But if you're one of those little little islands circled by water, I mean, you have to put yourself out there. And you're going to be resilient. You're going to be resilient regardless, or else the ones that aren't, the people that aren't resilient die off.
Yeah.
And what's left are the resilient, tough people.
It's like super quick Darwinism.
Yeah,
like it's like
exactly.
either in one lifetime, like you make it or you're dead. Definitely.
I think that we could use a healthy dose of that in our country.
Yeah,
right
I think
now.
so.
That bottom third, I don't know. I guess the third, we just keep kicking people out of it to make sure it's still a third. But that bottom third feels like it gets larger and larger.
Don't give Eric out the George Bush button.
That's why Trump wants to build those walls, so we're trapped in here. So we're almost like an island.
Interesting.
Sell it that way. People might like it better.
I'm just saying. Maybe.
I don't know if we're like an island or like a prison.
Yeah, that's more like a prison there. Yeah.
I got a boat. I'll be out.
Yeah. Walls sound like prison. Water sounds like an island.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So from CXXVI, you moved on to, what was your next progression as far as your career went?
Well, we actually. Do you want me to go back a little? Because there's a little like
I wanted to get into
cautionary tale, I should say, like as stupid as that sounds. So we were, like I was saying, we were running the company. It was doing very well. Still, the two of us. We had people helping us. We took this order from this mall store, Metro Park. I don't know if anyone remembers them.
I remember them.
They were
real hip. They were real
very
hip for a while. Very
small store
trendy.
hip. Yeah, they had
TJ's in the store.
Yes.
The most annoying fucking thing
Listen, they sucked. But like they carried a good mix of brands.
Eric Urask loved that store, by the way.
very making obey mainstream and all that.
Yes.
So they bought in 2011. Oh shit, we're coming up on it right now. 2011 in March, they placed an order with us, and it was a massive order. Our salesman in the West Coast turned it, and we're like, "This is what we're talking about." Nice. Took the order. We had never borrowed $1 our entire existence with this company, design company, nothing. We never borrowed $1. And we're like, we should start thinking about it because this is a huge order. We had this company check into them. Their credit's perfect. Their credit's always been perfect. Okay, cool. Like, we borrowed money from this company. 2 days later, we get another email. They're doubling down on their order. They went double. We're like, Jesus. We're like, this is great. And we're like, we go back to this company that they're called a factoring company. So you bring an invoice to them. Like, we bring the Metromark invoice. This is how much they're going to pay us. They go, okay, we're going to front you 80% of that so you don't have to wait on the money. And then when you get paid, they'll pay us and we'll give you 15%. We'll keep 5%. It's like they're making good money, but they're also fronting us so we could live.
Yeah.
So, but also they have to do due diligence and check the company out.
Check out who the owners are, what their credit
Everything.
history
They check
has been.
everything. So, cool, whatever. Came to them with the second one. That's great, guys. Here's more money. Fill the order, ship it. A few days after we shipped, they're like, it was net 30. You have to pay. They're going to pay in 30 days. It's net 60 now. We're like, a bummer, but whatever. This other company's taking care of getting the money. Net 60 rolls around. It's Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, shit.
It's 2 days before their net 60. I'm out drinking Cinco de Mayo, and I get a phone call, and it's like, I usually get calls from my salesman on the West Coast, like, late, and it was like 10. He's like, hey, I got bad news. And I was like, all right. He's like, I just saw an article that Metromark declared bankruptcy. And I was like, oh, I know that's not good, but, like, what does that mean? He's like,
Yeah, Chapter 7 or Chapter 11.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry too much yet. And it's like, we're out a couple $100,000 this company. What do you mean, don't worry yet? And he's like, no, don't worry. It might be fine. It might be fine. It wasn't fine. They declared bankruptcy, sold off all their assets. So they sell everything of ours, everything of Obey's, to pay their legal bills against us. So the American government does not take care of small businesses when it comes to this. The big business that declares bankruptcy has immunity to everything. So that was kind of the nail in the coffin for this company. Like, that happened. So then all of a sudden we go, okay, like, you did due diligence. You gave us money. They stiffed you. That's on you. It's like, no, you signed a personal guarantee to them. That's on you. And it's like, oh shit. So we had to do something, you know? It was like, we owed this money. Like, my partner and I personally owed all this money. So we ran the company for another year and a half, like, really, like, eking by. Because, like, now we can't front this money for these other orders and this and that. So it hit a point where, like, we weren't really getting along, and, like, it was just too much stress. And
How many units was their order for, if you don't mind me asking?
Units? I want to say each one was maybe 20,000 units.
Okay, so it was a substantial amount.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you were getting per unit, but, I mean, you were in the hundreds of thousands of dollar range, or 100,000, 100 change?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so, again, like, we constantly put the money back into the company before that. Like, just keep pushing forward. It's doing great. So at that point, we couldn't do that. So we're going to start paying back to this and doing this. So, and we couldn't declare bankruptcy either because it was a personal guarantee. So you can't put it on the business. We ran the company for another year and a half or so. Still, as far as, like, the public would see, we were doing well. It was still out there. It was still in Urban Outfitters and all these stores. So it just wasn't working, and we licensed our name to a company in LA. So it was like, we have to do something. This isn't working. So we just gave our name to this company. This company gave us royalties on sales, and we did creative. We didn't have to do any other work. No printing, no sales, no nothing. Like, every season, we turn over 13 designs. That was it. Wasn't the most fun existence, but we did it. And then about a year and a half later, they were, like, breaking their contract with us, running into the ground, selling to these stores they weren't supposed to be selling it to. So we took it back and closed it so our names wouldn't be tarnished, you know? Even though, like, we were still getting money from this company. It was like 5 years down the line where this company's a joke and my name's still attached to it, I'd rather just close it and move on. So at that point, that's when I started freelancing a lot. And I started for about 2 years a tie company, like a necktie company, that was all made in the USA with, like, old vintage fabric. And it was something fun. Like, it was like one day I had a clothing company. The next day we license out. I don't have anything to do. It's like from Monday to Tuesday, I have something to do. I have nothing to do. So it's like I had to figure out what to do, how to make money. So it was freelance design, which that was the easy thing because I knew how to do it, and I've been doing that for years. And I did this necktie company also.
What? Before we kind of got started, we were talking a little bit, and you were mentioning about how CCXVI started. So, like, you guys didn't intend to do clothing. You were something else beforehand, right?
Yeah, so we were a design firm, full service design firm, from websites to branding, photography, everything. So my partner and I did that from a year out of college to 2008, which was 2005 to 2008. And it was doing really well. We had a lot of clients, but then the big recession bubble pop happened, and a lot of our clients went out of business. So it was like, all right, do we hustle to get more? What do we do? And we had been started doing a lot of clothing design at that point for like this company Johnny Cupcakes, this company in Brooklyn Circus.
Johnny Cupcakes.
Yeah, did a lot of that stuff. Did a lot of stuff. So when that happened, we're like, all right, let's just do it on our own. Like, we know how to do it. We had rented an office in Port Jeff. We're in the basement. We had a screen printing press because we shared it with somebody else. So like, all right, we have everything. Like, let's just try it ourselves. And it hit too fast. That was like, again, the downfall of the company is like it took off and it flew. So when it's self-funded and it flies, the money just has to keep going back in. There's no choice. So that was that kind of transition.
I have another question about Metro Park.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember we had a Metro Park store in the Smith Haven Mall. I think it was probably open for only a year and a half, maybe 2 years at the most. And do you feel like that was part of their business model? Like they were almost like a pop-up shop? Like, all right, we're going to put this in somebody's name so everything seems legit, open up, and we'll work for a year, and then we're going to scam all of our vendors?
It wasn't at that point.
But it turned into that?
So at that point, they were owned by the same people who owned Hot Topic.
All right, so they were a legitimate company with long-term.
That's why they were able
goals.
to get. Yeah, they were, and but what happened is they were bleeding money, but they were hiding it by the CEOs and the owners were, I don't know exactly, were borrowing money privately, putting it into the company. So when you ran the company's thing, it looked perfect. Right. It was like, no, we have money coming in.
It's like a Ponzi scheme.
It kind of was, and that's what collapsed it. Mm-hmm. So the thing that's crazy, though, it's like 2 years ago, which is 2 years after it happened, I'm just like, oh, I type in Metro Park, and their website pops up, and they're back and running. I'm like, wait, how are they back at it if we have a court case right now with 10 other companies, just a new name, another person's name. It's horrible.
The only reason I asked that was there was a company that I was familiar with who was called DNA Jeans, and they had a series of stores all over the place. And I remember walking into the store and seeing brands like G-Star Raw and a couple other designers.
Sounds like a rapper.
Yeah, it's
this company that has the worst name ever and make amazing product.
And
I've never bought.
Really comfortable. My wife wears them.
They're massive, but I've never bought a single product because they have the worst image, the worst name. You're just like, oh, this is horribly the rapper, like Eurotrash.
Yep. I feel like they have ODB's image on.
They're real big in like Canada.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
And I remember walking into the store, and those jeans usually, if you go to like Saks or one of like the higher end stores, $150, $200. And they were like blowing out these $200 jeans for like $80. And I'm thinking, like, how on earth is this possible? And I'm looking at them like, I'm pretty sure they're not knockoffs. The quality is there. Where are they getting these things? And then sure enough, the store was open for 8 months to maybe a year and change and disappeared. So I had a feeling, I'm like, all right, this must be like a business model that certain stores have. And I was wondering if Metro Park was a similar circumstances.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of like a leech, like sub-economy. Like, if you think about companies like TJ Maxx and all these like discount stores, like they're totally legitimate, but Metro Park, I'm sure, when they had to sell all our stuff to make money for their lawyers,
they probably sold to TJ Maxx.
I know they did. They sold to TJ Maxx, and it's like those stores. I'm not disparaging them, but like TJ Maxx, even like Burlington Coat Factory, it is a little bit of a leech economy. Like,
are they like the Florida of clothing? It's like,
yes, that's a very good way to put it.
Like the scab, they're like the scabs. They're like the leeches that come out of the bottom, and they're like, "Oh, what do you have? We'll take that 10 cents on the dollar."
This was popular fucking 6 years ago. Let's sell it now to all the low-hanging fruit.
True Religion jeans, send them our way.
Well, that's the biggest thing, the low-hanging fruit. Like that's all those places are. It's like the easiest sell. Like I said, like where can you get a shirt? eBay, because Metro Park probably sold it to 100 other companies that just, we'll take 10 shirts for $1. And it's like just whatever to get rid of it quick. So that's why that's on eBay.
And they're all on eBay.
Skang, let's go to Burlington Coat Factory tomorrow and get you some CC.
Yeah.
It's probably, Marshalls? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Marshalls.
Sorry.
no, doesn't hurt me.
I'm the low-hanging fruit that buys.
You have low hanging.
Well, if you remember, the last... Well, I don't remember who it was. The last podcast we were talking about you catching the low-hanging fruit in terms of women. So thanks for clearing that up, because you were disputing that.
Yo, he doesn't have a good vertical, but he's on the keto, so it's coming back.
This is the summer where you don't have to hit the lights, kid.
I like the booze.
Are you really doing the keto thing?
Yeah.
How's that going?
Yeah, it's actually awesome.
As you have whiskey in your glass.
Yeah. The liquor's the only thing that's still around that's probably bad for me. But the high fats, the chicken, the steak, all that. I'm down a little, probably like 12 pounds right now, in a little over 3 weeks. And like Sunday, I was a little hungover, and I was like, you know what? I've been good. I love pizza. Let me stop and get a slice of pizza from. I went to Lucchese's or whatever, right on Waverly Avenue, right by the circle.
Lucchese's, Lucchese's.
Yeah, I went there.
Aren't you Italian?
By the time I drove here, I had a headache.
Really?
From eating that many carbs. I had 2 slices of pizza.
I didn't warn him. I got him on the diet, so
okay.
I've been doing it probably
3 months now.
About 3 months, and didn't do it really necessarily to lose weight so much, but just. Like I had a couple of instances where I ate like real carb heavy meals, and I felt like real sluggish throughout the day. Like just felt terrible. Like I could feel my body like working to break down the carbs, and I'm like, you know what? Let me try this. Let me switch over my diet, and I dropped probably at this point like 25 pounds without really doing it. Like I was going to the gym a lot, and I was maintaining my weight, changing over my eating style, and I've been so busy, with the podcast, with actual work and stuff like that. Like I haven't been to the gym probably since I started.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
It has. You haven't gone at all since you started. Because I remember the first month, you're like, yeah, I've been doing this for a month. I lost 12 pounds. I haven't even gone to the gym, and you haven't gone back since.
Yeah, no.
Do you feel a difference in like mental clarity too?
So much.
Really? That's what I was looking at. Is like the whole, like it bummed me out, the whole like brain fog thing. Like I started taking like a year or so ago, like Alpha Brain and NeuroPeak, and I see that does help. Then I started reading like more like if you start doing this, it like really helps.
Well,
and for creative stuff, like that's huge. So like cut that out.
What your brain feeds on is fats, and that's why they say like evolutionary. One of the reasons that we started to evolve into the tool age and being able to do the things that we do now is because we changed our diet styles. Like we started eating more fats. We became fishermen. We ate like healthy fats and things, and you're like there's evolutionary science and evidence that show the development of the human brain, or the human the human type humanoid brain, from eating fats as opposed to the diet styles that we were on before that. So I mean, it's I mean there are times when you miss bagels and you miss pizza and things like that, or beer. Like I was a huge beer drinker.
Yeah,
but anytime I think I've cheated twice at pizza and beer both times, and I felt fucking terrible afterwards.
So that makes you not want to cheat, I guess.
Yeah. I haven't had the desire to cheat or try, and I still drink alcohol, but I'll drink vodka soda.
Oh, really? There's a big difference with that if you have...
Huge difference.
Okay.
A huge.
What about wine?
Wine, there's still a lot of carbs.
Okay.
Yeah. Wine and beer. Wine, oddly enough, is less. Red is a little bit less than white, and then dry champagne is even less than any of the other ones.
Okay, I think I've heard that, yeah.
But I could drink, I drink more than a bottle of vodka a week, probably.
That's an impressive amount, you are, bro.
I probably have a bottle like this every week.
I mean, not last podcast, the podcast before, I think Eric had a glass of Bullet Rye, and I drank the entire rest of the bottle during the podcast.
See, I thought that like throws you out.
It can't. You know what? I'm not so I don't need to measure
Okay.
my blood or like,
Yeah, that
I
seems
can
like kind of
tell that
extreme, like,
it is.
yeah.
It's really
That's for
extreme.
athletes, man.
Yeah.
Athletes do the keto measuring more than anything else because there's still like a conflict between going a full ketogenic diet for athletes versus like the need for carbohydrates for performance. Like I follow keto probably about 80% for the most part, but I like Chris is full keto where he's like cut out grains completely. I haven't cut out grains. Like I'll occasionally have a whole wheat wrap or I eat a lot of quinoa and I'll, depending on my training sessions on like how my day's going to be, I'll make sure I load up on like better carbs and like quinoas or sweet potatoes and things like that, and I'll go a little bit more carb heavy because sometimes I can feel the difference in terms of my performance when I'm training. And there's still a split on who you ask on like whether a ketogenic diet is good for athletes.
Endurance athletes, it seems like it's much more of a positive diet for somebody that runs marathons or somebody that's into cycling.
A slow burn diet.
Like a
where
slow
you need
burn.
to keep that
The guy who was on Rogan's podcast where we like really dove into the keto,
Mark
Sisson,
Sisson,
he was like a triathlon
Okay.
athlete. He was a distance runner, a
Like
marathoner.
slowing, if you're into a sport that's slow and steady for the long haul, it seems like being in full ketosis is a great thing for you. But if you're doing something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA or any type of sport where you need to have some explosive movements from time to time, you're going to need some carbohydrates.
Yeah.
You're going to need that glycogen. You need it. When you're burning fats for energy, it's more of a slow, steady burn as opposed to when you're burning glycogen for energy, which is a spike, which is like the insulin spike when you feel, and that was kind of the reason that I switched over my diet. Like, I hate to even say diet. Like it's more of an eating style or eating.
Just
pattern.
what you're eating, yeah.
Exactly. Because to say you're on a diet, like
means you're intentionally cutting things out to like lose
Right.
weight or like just like temporarily do
I
it.
probably
When you're on
eat-
diet, it means you're quitting soon. It means you're not sticking to it.
No.
And you're going to be a
Right.
loser again soon.
But
It's more like a lifestyle.
Yeah, you're also forcing yourself. Like so many people when they sit on a diet, I eat 750 to 1,000 calories a day. Like right now, I probably eat upwards of like 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day.
Well, you're also 6'8".
But
So is it you totally cutting out like flours and everything also?
Yeah.
Right? Which is
real flour.
That's the
Like,
reason
I'll eat like almond flour, flaxseed meal, coconut flour.
Okay.
So I'll do different things to kind of substitute it. Like I'm a pancake junkie. I love fucking pancakes, but I've come to a place where I can make.
What do you put on them?
What's that?
You don't put syrup on them?
You could, dude. I got sugar-free syrup. It's fucking delicious. I make a sugar-free McGriddle style casserole.
Those
that-
things were
What time do you leave in the morning? I want to come over for breakfast.
This is a weekend gig.
This is a weekend gig.
Yeah, I looked at it because I have IBS, and
Okay.
like I was tested a ton when I was a teenager, but it was horrible. And like you're not supposed to do this, not supposed to do that, and then like through my mid-20s, it was fine, and then like the past like 4 years, it's been horrible. But like it shifts like for like a year, I'll notice like flour, and I thought it was gluten at first, so like I was like, all right, I can't have beer, gluten. So then I was drinking beer, and I was totally fine. But then I would ingest flour, and it would be horrible. And I would ingest rice, and it would be horrible. So like I started looking to that. It's just like, okay, I can have all the stuff that I do like, and cut out this other stuff that I like, but it kills me anyway.
Well, a lot of that, what it is inflammation.
Yeah.
And it's anything that your body's going to break down into sugars. So eat complex carbs, simple carbs, doesn't matter. Like your body's breaking it all down into glycogen. So whether it be, a potato or pasta or refined sugar or anything like that, sugar in your body's mind, like it changes into the same thing. Your muscles only hold so much of it, and it causes like this inflammation state. And Mark Sisson actually talks about this. He had IBS.
Oh, really?
Real
Yeah.
bad. He's like
I didn't listen to that one after.
Yeah, he
Wow.
changed over to this ketogenic diet, and he said it completely went away.
Really?
He had real bad arthritis. He had IBS like throughout his entire life.
So like you said, it's all just swelling. It's like body swelling.
It's
Yeah.
inflammation.
Inflammation,
like, because that's what your body does when it's breaking down the sugars.
Well, excesses of sugar.
Excess.
Yeah.
It's not just sugar. It's excesses
Right.
of sugar causes inflammatory response inside of your body, and really any kind of refined grain, your body breaks it down into sugar. It breaks down to sugar no matter what. So you eat any kind of bread for the most part, it turns into sugar in your body. You're drinking really even most alcohols you drink, it turns into sugar in your body.
It's like the
breaks
worst
down.
thing you could do.
Yeah. So
Yeah, drinking is terrible. I had a couple of injuries in the past year. I lost one of my fingers in an accident, and I broke my foot this past summer. And I realized that, of course, I'm not training for any fights when I'm dealing with these injuries or I've had surgeries. So the first thing that you're thinking, like, all right, fights off. I'm going to be injured for at least 3 months, 4 months. Let's start drinking. Let's hit the bottle. And you're already in a pretty good amount of pain. But I realized that after I'd go out for a night drinking, I would come home, and as soon as the euphoric drunk feeling would wear off, I'd be like, holy fuck, my hand hurts. Holy shit, I can't even walk. I'd wake up the next morning, and I'd
feel that throb even worse.
Right away.
You feel the throb, and you take 2 steps, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm hopping on 1 foot in the morning, and my wife's like, oh, what's going on? And I'm just like, I don't know, it wasn't this bad yesterday. And it's the alcohol causing the inflammation. And just think about that. I feel like the average American just walks around with probably their body is probably 20 to 30% inflamed all the time just from the standard American diet.
Which leads to excess water retention too.
Yeah.
Your body
100%.
retains all that water as a response to the inflammation, so you're probably walking around with an extra 20 pounds of water on your frame.
When you guys started bringing up the ketogenic diet, I actually looked into it. I bought a cookbook. I listened to some of the guys like Mark Sisson and a couple other people speak. I looked at their YouTube videos, and I thought, you know what, this isn't something that I could realistically do with the sport that I participate in, but I will start cutting out and making swaps for different grains that I eat. And my normal walk-around weight when I was training full-time was usually between, I want to say under 200, but it never was. It was like 203 to 207. And since I made those changes in my diet, my walk-around weight's been like 191 to like 194 and a half pounds. So essentially, just changing my diet a little bit. I'm still eating shit. I eat pizza like twice a week, and I'll have 2 slices. I don't give a fuck. I drink. If we're having hamburgers, I'm eating those goddamn buns because they're real good.
Fuck the buns.
But you know what? I'm not loading up. I'm not eating all of the other grains. I won't eat bread if we're out at a restaurant. And I won't go out of my way to eat grains that I don't have to. And I'm walking around 10 pounds lighter. And not only that, but I feel better. I can breathe through my nose a little bit more easily. When I wake up in the morning, all of those... It's inflammation. All of those things, like I always talk about, like old injuries as an athlete. Anyone that plays, I fucking blew my knee out in fucking football in college. We all have old injuries. And you wake up and it's damp out. You get all creaky sometimes. I'm not having that really as much. And I feel like it's just due in part to cutting out those simple, crap carbohydrates that we consume as a whole here. All
Also
that pasta,
the refined sugars, man. You cut out
sugars.
refined sugar. It's
You're just saying the thing that he had IBS directly hits me. Like I was thinking about that, and I didn't know about that dude Mark Sisson that he had IBS. It's like,
go back and listen to that podcast.
That's like the one I skipped because I was like, you can flip through listen. I saw the description. I was like, I'm not gonna listen to this one. I just kept going. I have to hear that.
It's really interesting. Some of the stuff like
he's an extremist.
And some of the stuff like you listen and he's like, I drink like half a glass of water a day, and you're like, well, that's not good, dude. Like, he's like, I only drink if I'm really, really thirsty. And I'm like, well, everyone knows you need more water. Yeah. Like you should be hydrating yourself more than that. Like
he also wants to look ripped though and stuff like that too.
Yeah,
that's
he's 65 years old.
Yeah, that's part of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's podcast number 752.
Okay.
In case you're wondering,
Yeah, he's like 65 years old and he has like better abs than I do, unless I'm like about to step in the ring and fight.
I'll be honest though. Like I said, for the I'm similar to Eric with it doesn't fully work for the sport that we're in, but I'd say like 80% keto for the most part. I try to follow it to a pretty good level, and I cut out I cut out most sugars a long time ago, but I was guilty of putting like creamers in my coffee, and I'm a big coffee drinker. I cut out the creamer in my coffee probably about 3 months ago. I put 1 raw sugar in my coffee and half, and I go real light on it, and I don't put even the whole packet of sugar in anymore, and I go real light on the half and half as best I can, and I do a lot of the bulletproof coffee as well, and I don't eat any grains. Like, I don't eat breads at all unless it's like, occasionally if I have like a burrito from the organic place that I go to, I'll have a sick veggie burrito. You know what I mean? So the only bad part I have is the burrito and shit like that. So for the most part, I'd say like 80% keto, this and that. But after I just fought on Saturday. So yesterday I went and ate pizza for the first time in probably 5 months. I had 2 slices of pizza, dude. I felt like dog shit yesterday. Yeah. I felt awful. I mean, I enjoyed every second of the pizza, but
it's nice when you're eating it.
Yeah, but I felt terrible, dude. I felt so shitty. I came home and like I felt stiff. I was like inflamed. I felt like my stomach was ready to explode, and then I passed out within an hour and a half.
See, that's my issue with like the things I eat that mess with me with the IBS is like I eat it, and then like your abdomen just like hurts and like pains, just like the swelling. You could feel it swelling.
Yeah.
The other day I tried to get around it and made something with garbanzo bean flour, and it was garbage. Like there was like a whole cookbook like I saw online of like if you have these problems, cook with garbanzo bean flour, and it was just absolute dog shit. So don't go that route.
Some of those walkarounds just aren't any good. My mom is doing the keto a little bit, and I was at her house for dinner 2 nights ago, and she's I got this new pasta. We're gonna try. She gave herself the first portion, tried it, and she was just like, nobody else is allowed to try this at the table. It was that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, last night I did a rice flour and some other corn flour, like pasta, and it's just like, I'm just not going to have pasta. Like, this is not good. Like, I can do without the pasta.
Yeah, forget the pasta. We don't need this.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked that after a month of eating like this, your body stops craving all that stuff.
That's what I've heard. Like, you look at it differently.
Yeah, it'll go away. You won't crave it at all.
The sugar cravings go away. Sugar withdrawal, I have to say, is probably the hardest withdrawal I've ever gone through. Yeah, when you just feel... I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, but when you're going to get the flu, but you don't have it yet, you're not like on the couch and dead, but you're just like, fuck, I'm at work or wherever you are, you're like,
dope sick.
I need to get home. It's essentially like being dope sick. And actually, I don't know. I want to say it's probably sugar addiction is probably harder to kick than like opiates or
biologically
or anything.
Almost the same thing.
Yeah,
your body's response to sugar and its like addiction response.
I've heard it's similar to cocaine.
No, it's the same as heroin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's biologically the same.
That's real interesting.
Like there was this guy, Dr. Carl Hart, who was on. I'm always referencing Rogan's podcast, obviously, because I'm a Rogan fanboy.
I do that all the time. I feel like an ass. I'm gonna say it again. I'm like, I know I'm gonna reference it again, but it's like it's knowledge. It's like a wealth of knowledge.
But he had this guy, Dr. Carl Hart, on, who's an addiction specialist, and he talked about how, and he talked about how overblown like being dope sick is, like when you're kicking heroin and stuff. It's like he's like essentially like a bad flu.
It's not that bad.
It's a bad flu, and it's the same thing. Your body's response biologically is the same thing to sugar as it is heroin. There's no difference.
I've been on like long-term painkillers for injuries for months and months at a time. I've gone through opioid withdrawal twice. And I mean, I'm not mainlining heroin or anything, but you know what? Yeah, it sucks for a few days and all the things that they talk about are true, but you know what? You get over it and then you're done. Yeah. Sugar, it's in your face every time you go to the candy store. I mean, you're like, everywhere.
If you're kicking sugar, don't go to the candy store.
Not the candy store, but you know what I mean? If you're at Home Depot, they sell candy bars at the checkout.
But also, not just that. It's in so many things you don't even know what's in.
Well, that's what it is. Penne alla vodka, vodka sauce. I never realized this. I kicked sugar, I guess like a year and a half ago. I went out with my family to an Italian restaurant. I was like, I'll have penne alla vodka. Load up on the sugar. Next thing you know, I'm sick for the whole next day because I ate so much penne. Granted, I did eat like more than any human should consume.
but as a cook and someone who grew up in Italian restaurants and managed them and worked them, cooked them, like they put sugar in tomato sauce. To balance out the acidity,
to make it sweet.
Not even to make it sweet, but tomatoes are extremely acidic.
People do it with carrots too. To
right. You could do it with carrots also, but tomatoes are extremely sweet if you do it with carrots, though, you have to cook the carrots down until they melt into nothing.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to go, all right, I'm going to put a cup of sugar in this sauce to balance out the acidity. Because if you just took tomatoes and put them in a pot and cooked them down until they were nothing and they were sauce, someone would eat it. They'd be like, "This is fucking disgusting."
It's acid.
Yeah, what is this?
Yeah.
This is fucking terrible.
So essentially, what you're saying is, anytime we go to an Italian restaurant, no matter what we eat, there's probably going to be
With
sugar.
tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Anywhere you
There's
go,
always
no
gonna
matter
be
what
sugar.
you eat, there's going
Anywhere
to be
you
sugar
go.
for the most part. I mean, dressings for salads loaded with sugar.
Right.
You eat bread, it turns into sugar.
Yeah.
Everything is fucking sugar.
All the protein bars have it in them.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I noticed, I was looking at those Kind bars, because you look at them and their whole spiel is they're supposed to be good for you. And some of them have like 12 grams or 18 grams of sugar in them.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
And it's like 9 grams, like per serving or whatever. It's
Yeah,
like
and
double
there's,
it.
some of them are 2 servings.
and they're this fucking big.
Yeah.
4 inches.
Yeah, I look at one of
We're
those
referencing
bars,
the size of Skank's dick, just in case anybody was wondering.
and I'm looking at
That's
those.
around. 3 inches long, 4 inches around.
It's like a soup can, which is loaded with sugar.
Gotta scrape the walls. It's like 2 tuna cans back to back. Gotta scrape the walls.
Hockey puck.
It'll stretch you out, but it won't poke your uterus.
And you'll get inflamed from it. But you probably won't get addicted.
Not addicted to what that dick did.
And is withdrawal the same as pulling out? I don't know. Do you withdraw?
I pull out.
Do you really, though?
Well, apparently
you don't
you-
finish.
Yeah, I don't finish because I'm always drunk.
I was going to say, you're either really good at pulling out or you never finish because you have no children.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But,
That he knows of.
the one thing I really wanted to say while you guys were getting into it, I just wasn't fast enough because I'm drinking. The keto. The one thing is I've had 2 of the worst hangovers I've had in years since I started the diet.
Really?
Because you don't have carb, you
Yeah.
don't have the excess
I don't
carbs,
have-
so
yeah.
you have the alcohol.
And stuff like this whiskey, normally would give me a hangover. I don't care about that. But
Obviously not.
Like if I drink Stolio and Club Soda all night, say last summer, I could drink until I'm dead, and wake up in the morning and feel pretty freaking good. This last Saturday, I drank to where I was just 1 or 2 past driving home.
Yeah.
And
How many
I
is
did
that?
drive home.
How many is that?
Oh, 12. I didn't drive home, for the record, but I woke up the next morning feeling absolutely horrible.
For the record, Skank is just a shitty drinker because I drink just as much as him, and
Yeah, but you're
every
also,
morning.
I have to say this every time, you're also 6'8".
Well, he weighs more than me.
Yeah, I do have some weight.
How does that play out? We're going to have to get somebody in the medical field that's an expert on this to see is it just weight or is it height and weight? Is it blood? Is it your blood volume?
I'm
who
a
has more
professional
blood?
drinker is the problem.
Well, I would assume he has more blood.
I don't want to have
Yes.
this argument on the air because it might come to fisticuffs.
I'm okay with that.
Just record it.
So
press
basically
record.
what we're saying is that
Sounds like Friday
keto...
night we're getting 2 bottles back to back. We're seeing who's who.
We'll put that on World Star and get us some more followers. All right, that's what we have to do. We're going to put it on. I'm going to yell. I'm going to go, World Star.
So keto's not a good diet for drunks.
No.
let's put that out there.
that's
No,
not
it is
true.
good because it gets
It's a
you drunk.
great-
It's a great.
You're just not the next day.
No, it's a great diet for drunk. Dude,
You're the outlier apparently here. Not scientifically, but we're going to say that your height is probably a factor.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think so?
I mean, you probably have more blood in your body than he does, so it takes more alcohol to get in your blood and circulate and get you drunk.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think the
Now,
weight...
why would he have?
Whoa,
why would
why
he
do you have more blood,
Why would
bro?
he have more blood? Is it
Yeah.
because his veins are longer? Because they got to stretch?
Because he's longer.
Isn't there blood?
His
in,
muscular,
fat,
his
too?
muscular and
how that
skeletal
works.
system is much bigger than his.
I don't know if you get fatter, do you get more veins? Is that a thing?
I don't
don't
think
know.
so. Probably not.
Your fat doesn't need blood to
I thought
function.
it goes by
Your
weight.
muscles do.
I was under the impression that it went by weight,
But anyway,
based
I
on
could drink more than a
driver's
normal
ed.
person.
I think
as well as yours.
it goes by volume.
We
Right?
could drink
Alcohol-
more than the normal person, and
I'm gonna say
this diet has been affecting my hangovers and not his.
I'm going to say most people listening to this aren't drinking as much as Skang and I, period. So don't
On a
worry about
Tuesday.
Yeah, on a Tuesday.
So give it a try.
Yeah. Give it a try.
Yeah, I'm going to.
See how it works out for you.
Everyone will have their own personal experience with this.
Right. You know what? Everything works different for different people.
Right.
Like every diet works different for different people. Every workout regimen, everything. Because as much as we are the same species, we're not the same species.
Because I get pretty drunk and I still finish.
I think I've only not finished twice in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't
I might
just
have finished twice.
and it wasn't just alcohol involved in my non-finishes.
I should go to a doctor.
Might be an idea.
Wait, I should go when I'm drunk.
He's going to tell you, well,
What's up with this?
we figured two things out. Your hair is fantastic. The rest of you sucks.
Ouch.
Just kidding. I love you. You have a great
Jump off the balcony.
you have a really healthy personality.
I have a great personality. I'm all hair and personality. Back to our guest.
Yes. Well,
So after the clothing company, you guys closed up shop. You went off and you did some freelance work for a couple of big companies, right?
Yeah, I did for New Balance, Vans, Levi's, a lot of that level clothing companies.
So you did clothing for them or sneakers, like you just mentioned?
No,
a
I did
couple-
mostly shirt graphics. Shirt
Okay,
graphics, hang tags, neck tags. Like that's kind of
hang tags.
yeah, like kind of something like how we had like these hang tags that were like really hand stamped and like vintage looking. A lot of
What's a
companies
hang tag? I don't even
just
know.
like when you buy a shirt like at Macy's, like there might be a hang tag from the company instead of just like a Macy's tag on it, and that hang tag will be really cool looking, like where
okay.
that'll be a second visual seller for the shirt.
Like one of the ones with string attached
Yes,
to
like-
it.
like-
So it's like, oh, this is like almost like
Like a
high
safety pin and
cardboard.
string,
Yeah.
And we were doing that like ourselves, like stamping it, soaking batches of thousands of tags at once in tea, and then taking them out so like they really look like old documents that are hanging from the shirts. So all these bigger companies started emulating us because we were doing it authentically. So then after it, I started getting hired from these companies that were just kind of copying us to do it for them. So that's kind of how I got a lot of those gigs.
Interesting.
Now, how do those things materialize for you? Like, you have like a well-known name out there, and these people contact you, or is it like you have a resume out? Like, how do you?
Kind of a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Like, a little over half I get from people just contacting me from seeing the clothing company, doing research, seeing like who did it. LinkedIn, is as weird as it sounds, like just connect with other people in the industry, and they say like, "Oh, I saw what you did. Like, do work for my company." So it's mostly those two things. And then like some of the stuff, if I just see a company that does something that I really like, I'll contact them directly and be like, "Oh, I love what you're doing. This is work I've done.
I can do it better."
Yeah, I'd love to work with you. So
I
yeah.
can make your brand that much better.
That was the theme of our last podcast.
It's true. Yeah, Shanja, our last guest, she's like a big do-it-yourselfer, and she'd like see what people did. She's like, I can fucking do that better. I'm gonna.
Well,
do
that
it.
was my line. And
Oh, it was you?
that
Sorry.
came into the whole. We're having a cook-off.
He's going to have a cook-off with our last guest,
All
and
right.
we're going to have a battle, and we're going to put together a panel of judges to judge their food creations, or I don't know what they're doing.
She built a table. I built a table. I cook a lot. She cooks a lot. And
She has a real sexy voice.
Yeah.
So
She-
you've
she-
already
she
lost.
was so down.
You've already lost in my mind, Yarborough. Unless you can really
Listen.
unless you can really juice it up right now.
Hold on. My voice to women is sexy. I'm not trying to.
No, but you could have like
how many women have hit you up to say how sexy Yarbs' voice has?
Not one.
not one.
Yeah.
I
But so many
managed.
bros have been like, yo, her voice.
I managed the social media.
Yeah.
We haven't had one. Nobody's messaged us. In
Our listener base is more men than women, so
We don't know that.
I don't know.
We don't
And you
know.
know
that. We don't know that.
I know.
Like you're no Marvin Gaye. Sorry.
I'm not
Sorry.
saying on that fucking level, but
Sexual half chocolate.
exactly. Sexual half chocolate.
You know James Brown.
Maybe a little James Earl
It's,
Jones.
By the
Yo,
way,
Dolph
fun
Lundgren
fact,
got
James
some
Brown's
ass.
birthday.
Yeah, but that was by rape.
I'm pretty big and strong.
However,
I think he's.
you gotta get
I think
it
he's
done.
coming on to you, Dave.
I'll fight
Be
back.
first.
He's pretty tough.
You
If
can't rape
saw
the
him-
willing.
If you saw him, you might be like, "Yeah, I could rape that guy," but he does know jujitsu and he has a couple of MMA fights.
I will put up a struggle. But like I
I weigh him
said,
by like 100 pounds.
yeah, but you
Okay.
can't rape the willing, dog.
I know.
Take all the fun out of it for you.
True. It's not worth it.
Wait, is it rape if you don't come?
Jesus Christ.
Good night.
It's
And
way
on
less
that note-
incriminating.
Yeah. Okay. Back to normal stuff.
Normal stuff. Okay.
Back to multi-million-dollar companies that you were
So
working
you've
for.
worked, you worked with New Balance. Did you say Levi's?
Yeah, and like Vans and stuff. It was all graphic tees for those companies.
Cool,
At the same
cool.
time, I was doing that tie company that I was running.
Now, you're a graphic designer. You design on the internet, and not on the internet, but on the computer, like doing programs.
A mix
or do
of
you draw
both.
freehand as well?
Kind of both. You know, like I'm not a huge like I can envision things well and create them all on the computer, but I don't have a great like brain to hand type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times to get like a hand drawn look, I'll create a computer and then redo it afterwards. You know, by hand. Because there's a lot of things like companies want that look now. Like hard companies want that.
So there's like a legitimate chance that like people in this room, like we may have had shirts or
Sure.
different types of clothing that you've worked on over the years.
Possibly.
Because you've worked for like, the New Balance, like all the brands you've named, Vans.
Yeah.
I've worn all of their stuff, or chances are you might have made a tag for some of them.
Sure, absolutely. And I
really
see
cool.
stuff like walking around that I didn't think ever got printed. Like like a lot of times you do designs for companies. Like I did a lot for Lucky Brand, and I saw like 2 designs printed on their website, and I did like 30 shirts.
Okay.
But, like stuff goes to weird places sometimes. Like I was walking around the city, some guy just had a shirt on. I was in San Francisco, and there was like a shirt in the store. I was like, I didn't even know this got printed.
Oh, that's
so they'll
pretty
just like
cool.
you'll design 30 things. They'll buy all 30, and then it's just like
Yeah,
you know where they go after
whatever
that.
they decide to do, they
They
decide
can
to
throw
do.
them away. They can print them. They can do whatever they want.
Do you ever go up to someone and you're like, I designed that shirt, or
I
not?
want to, but no. I
No.
no.
Only if it's an attractive woman.
Yeah. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
You're way too cool for that.
We do see stuff a lot, like CXXVI stuff on TV and movies and stuff. Like,
Oh, yeah?
it's weirdly pulled a lot by, I guess, stylists.
Do you think they have it on like racks of like just like stuff they keep in stock when they come to do wardrobe for
They
like
must.
a movie?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we have this, or they just pulled. Maybe they got it cheap from Marshalls, and they're
Yeah,
like,
I
let's
know,
just
right?
buy a fuckload of this stuff because this is stuff that so and so will wear from Entourage or whomever.
Yeah, we saw it on, it sounds weird, but what's that country western guy, Keith Urban?
Okay.
Like, I got texts from a few different people over like a year and a half where like he would just have random ones of our shirts on for a bunch of different like TV appearances, but
so
it's all
stylists.
stylists. Like they don't know what they're doing. Like it's
No.
all just
They just
if the
show up.
stylist likes it, then they'll just like buy or pull a bunch of things.
That's pretty cool.
It is, yeah, it definitely is.
That's actually real interesting. Do you still see the stuff popping up?
Yeah, definitely, and we see it. Like I have people who work in work at the Gap as designers or work at like Uniqlo or something, and they'll send me pictures of their mood boards of stuff they're supposed to make their stuff look like, and it's still showing up on those, which that's cool. Which means it's like
Yeah.
it's now mainstream, that style. Like we weren't when our stuff was popular. It was not in like Target and stuff like that. It was
wasn't
like the
at
more
that point
menswear
yet.
boutiques and stuff where it was like more expensive. But now it's at that point, and like now other companies are profiting off of it, off that style at least.
That sucks. That's something that you like worked on for so many years, but I guess that's how it always is. It's only cutting edge for so long, and next thing you know, it's in Kohl's and Target.
But that's what's getting me my work now, so it's good. You know, like that's the style I do well, and I did well 5 years ago. So that's what gets people coming out like, oh, I want that style that you did or like 5 years ago. Now,
You
That's cool.
developed the style, you came up with it, and so it's let's
Exactly.
bring it in and
Yeah,
have it
absolutely.
revamp our style.
yep.
Do you have any big projects in the future that you're working on, or anything in like the back of your brain, thinking like, oh, this is what I want to do next?
Yeah, I mean, freelance now. I'm working with like all of a sudden I got like a couple companies I'm working with that I'm psyched about. That company Roots of Fight that does like
Yeah, we see a lot of their stuff around. They're real high end.
They're huge now, and like I'm doing some things for them, and that it's cool because it gets a lot of visibility. But
They're doing really good marketing with like The Rock and a lot of the. I know just from the MMA world, they're doing stuff with like Henzo.
well,
Gracie.
they're the first ones to license like Gracie's license, Henderson, Chuck Liddell, like all that.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah, and that's a first. Like, so the guys who own that company are out of Canada, and they're just like these design guys, and like they own the marketing company and somehow got ins with like Dana White and stuff. But they, like so much of an in where,
They made some friends and now they can use the stuff.
but like he'll call the owner of this company at like 12:30 at night, be like, hey, I got this idea for this licensing, and hey, do you want to buy it for this? And like they'll take it and just make a line of shirts. So I'm psyched about that because not that I'm getting a lot out of it, but work wise. it's cool to work on that stuff. Like they're kind of evolving into a new area where like mainstream people weren't wearing. Like they were wearing Muhammad Ali stuff, but not wearing like Braddock stuff or like Joe Louis stuff, and they're starting to now because of that company.
I wonder what it costs to license. Are they paying
a lot
of
money.
Paying per unit, or are they paying like a flat fee per?
They're the one. I can only say so much because they're the one.
I've actually been wondering about this for about a year and change now. At this point, like how much, what type of licensing, like how exactly that works? That type of deal, flat fee per the year, or is it per unit?
So.
Their shirts are expensive.
Yes.
They're like $35-$40 a shirt.
They're the one company that, that was really serious about me signing a non-disclosure agreement before I started working with them. So I'll say a certain amount.
Okay.
I mean, I can say up to a certain amount, but I know that when I was talking to the owner about what is, license run, it's a lot of money.
Okay.
And it's chunks of money.
That's what I was assuming, just because of the names and the people that they have on the shirts. I was thinking, wow, this isn't like Joe Schmo's company throwing out like 20-30 grand to these people. It's got to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars ranges from what I'd expect, if not more, for some of the big guys. Like
when we had a CXXVI and we licensed our name off, it was like we were getting like 12% of profits they were making. Like it's little, but with like big companies, like these big licensing companies, they're getting huge. It doesn't give away huge chunks of money because I mean it does very well. Like Muhammad Ali, he spent his entire life building that image, and then this company starts and goes, "We're gonna make money off this image." Like you got to give up a lot of money to get that right to do that.
That's what I mean. Someone like him, I could understand that, but like the Gracies, some of those guys weren't.
I'm sure it's a different deal.
I'm sure they probably have a much different deal. I just get a kick out of it every time. I'll be a lot of the guys in Manhattan will be wearing these shirts, and 4 or 5 years ago, if you saw somebody in anywhere wearing a Henzo Gracie shirt or a Elio Gracie shirt or anything like that, you'd be like, oh fuck, that's a jiu-jitsu guy, and you might go up to him and talk to him. My wife would be like rolling her eyes, like, wow, why do you have to talk to this guy, Eric? Because he trains, and next thing you know, you have a half-hour conversation about who you guys all know mutually. But now you see it's become mainstream.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing different fighter shirts all over the place, and you're just like, now it's like, oh, they're just fans of the sport or fans of the genre of combat sports.
They were smart though, because I mean, they started with like the big names. Like they first started with like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. So like all celebrities wore that. Like there was a huge celebrity thing, and they dug like a little deeper. Like Gracie, I guess, is like the most popular jiu-jitsu for the mainstream, which like it's crazy to say, but like mainstream doesn't know, but it's the closest to knowing.
People have heard of the name before.
Exactly, and then they dig down a little bit to like Liddell, then dig down more, like, and they're doing that with boxing too. They started huge, and they go like Chavez, that's on there right now, and like, but like Braddock obviously is huge because Cinderella Man and all that, but they are starting big where people are learning their name and then digging down to where like the people who are actually really into the sport,
fight fans,
are going to respect it and buy their stuff because the stuff's really good quality too.
I wear the Julio Cesar Chavez shirt any day. I love watching him.
So, because what you're going to get is you're going to get the people who have already bought into the brand because they know the big names, and then you're also going to get the people who know about fighting that are going to buy it because of the Chavez or the Gracies or these other people that they respect and they want to support.
Yeah.
But the people that have already bought a Tyson shirt or a Muhammad Ali shirt, they're going to be like, oh, this is the new design?
Even if they don't know who that is, they're going to be like, that's cool. It must be somebody good. Yeah. Right. And they're smart. I could say it naps on their site, but they're expanding into baseball. And like they have, I know Clemente, Babe Ruth, Jackie Robinson. And it's like they're starting with the names everyone knows, and like the groundbreakers. So they're taking that model and expanding outwards like that, but keeping it simple. This thing is like,
that's a badass shirt.
They're trying to make it look like it's a shitty shirt that was sold in the parking lot. That's like the design's a little off, like it's not exactly right, which is cool. I mean, that's what I like.
When did they do this? When did they expand it to
like
baseball?
Like 2 weeks ago or something.
Yeah, baseball season.
That's smart.
I like that one. That's sharp.
It's funny, like for a mainstream-ish audience, that price seems a little high, but like there's this company Todd Snyder that's selling sweatshirts that are probably made in the same factory they're making the sweatshirts, and they're $150 and there's nothing on them. So like that's it. It seems high, but it's not bad compared to the market they're in.
I mean, they are
That's an awesome
good-looking shirts, though.
That is real awesome.
And the thing is,
Sure.
they're putting a lot on it. Like even like that tag on the bottom right. For me, it's a little too like gaudy and like to have a big tag. But that adds like, I mean, that's another $1 to put on the shirt for a company.
It
Looks like a baseball card.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is cool. You know, like
That's awesome.
they're not cutting corners. They are selling you a $40 T-shirt, but it doesn't. It has
The cost on all those little add-ons, the little
Yeah.
tags, and having your own tag printed, your instead of having a tag in the back of the shirt, it all adds a couple
Everything
of bucks
adds.
every single time.
And
I'm sure they come packaged very nicely,
Yes.
folded and plastic wrapped, etc.
This is interesting
It's
to
an
me
awesome shirt.
because I just realized something. The way you looking at this, it's like one of those things that I noticed. Like I used to, when I was younger, I did landscaping, and I changed the way I would look at like lawns and houses. You know, so there's everything you do now because you're involved.
Every
in it,
little
changes
thing.
how you look
Yep,
at everybody's
yep.
clothing, huh?
I've noticed that, but it sounds so dumb. But like, I just bought a house in September, and we're doing stuff, and like every little thing, it's like you can put a fence up. You drive around for 3 months. You're like,
You start
look
looking
that
at
fence,
all
look
the
that
different
fence.
types.
But it's everything in your life you do. Like I used to skateboard. And to this day, it's like I look at rails. Like I'm walking by, my wife, oh, look at that rail, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" And it's like everything in your life. If you're passionate about it, and at some point cared about it, you're gonna care about it again at some other point, or like at least it sticks with you.
We had a professional skateboarder on a couple of weeks ago.
Mike, yeah,
Mike.
I know Mike well, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking to him, and I said, "Oh, what spots do you skate on Long Island?" You didn't want to tell me, and I'm like, I'm not like asking him like what the nearest cross street were. I'm just like expecting like, "Oh, we skate at this bank in Northport. That's real good." But he wouldn't even give me that. He
Really? That's funny.
He didn't want to let it out. So I'm like, oh, I used to skate back in the day, and once in a while I see spots that there's no wax on any of the curbs, or there's a rail that nobody's obviously hit before. He's like, oh, send me pictures. So the other day I was in an industrial park, and I saw this abandoned building in an industrial park with a real cool loading ramps. I took some pictures, and I sent them off to him. He's like, oh, I'm going to put that on my list of places to check out.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's funny because I don't know anybody to send it to, but like to this day, and this was I've probably been skating in 15 years, and it's like
The same thing with me, more than that.
and every time like I see something, and I can't help but trigger that, and like even like we're saying with the fence or whatever, I think if you're passionate about something, like it's gonna stick with you.
Yep. That's how it is. I want to explore everything. I'm actually putting up a fence on Saturday at my house.
Okay.
And I've been driving around looking at fences, going to every store, seeing like what looks good, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go wood, and I'm going to stain it this color to match my deck. But it's the same thing. It's that eye. You want to take everything in before you make that decision,
Yeah.
and not just throw up that the plastic PVC.
Yeah, and like I build like starting like 3 years ago, I started building furniture and like doing a decent amount of it because like I was just designing, and when you design, you sit at a computer, or best you're drawing, but that's not like using your hands. And
No,
like there's
not
something
at all.
in you, like I think it's in certain people, not others, where like you want to do something and build something. So like I started built a dinner table first, and then like went from that, and like it's addictive. Like it sends you down a rabbit hole of like just reading more about it, reading this,
What
reading
else?
this, and like going to a store and be like, I'm not buying this. Like I could like build it this way. So it's all that.
And plus, I can build it so that it fits in my den.
Of course.
And it's perfect for my chair or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You just get into that habit. My grandfather built furniture. He's a
Okay.
furniture builder. And I'll make some small stuff here or there. And I'm a little handy. I put down flooring. I flipped a couple of houses and stuff
Okay,
like that.
nice.
So at this point, I'm sort of burned out. But I look at projects and I'm just like, oh, I want to do built-ins on this wall. I want to do this. I'm going
Yeah.
to finish my basement. I'm going to do built-ins around the hall. But I have that same type of mindset where you just want to build.
And you also like you once you see how it's done, you're like, I'm not paying like $2,000 for this. Like we moved in, like we just had to get furniture, and I bought this piece that I love from restoration. It was like a sale of a sale of a sale, so it was cheap, but it was still like no matter how cheap that is, and I know it's nice, it's like build something similar. It's just like you don't always have time, so like you do what you have to do.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a coffee table.
Exactly, yeah.
That was like I was redoing kitchen, 2 bathrooms in a house that we were renovating, and we got quotes for tile work in the bathroom, 2 bathrooms, kitchen. It was like $10,000 or something like that. I was like, fuck that, no way, I'm not paying it, no way. So I watched a couple of videos, did a couple of trial runs, and I did all the work myself. I taught myself how to do tile work, and that was it.
Yeah.
I did it, and people would come in and be like, oh wow, who did your tile? I'm like, I fucking did because I wasn't paying $10,000 to have 2 bathrooms and a kitchen backsplash done. Like,
Definitely,
it just wasn't happening.
You like learn to pick your battles too. Like it's like we're having this fence put in. And it's gonna be a PVC fence and it's big or whatever. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah,
like it's like
PVC
I'm gonna have to buy.
sucks.
First of all, I'm gonna buy certain tools, and then like, who am I gonna help me do it? And this and that. I was like, all right, somebody else can do that. But it's like I'm gonna put a patio in. Like I can level the backyard, I could dig it out, I can tamp down the gravel. It's like, no, I'm gonna put that in myself. But like, there's definitely battles. Like
There's winners and there's losers, and sometimes you'll think, oh, I'm going to do this, and the next thing you know, it's like, how many hours have I invested into figuring out how to do this corner?
And it's like it still doesn't look the way you're like, because I don't have the right tool, I don't have the right experience. Because like there's reasons these guys are paid to do it because they know how to do it well.
They bang it out in a day, and for the rest of us, it takes 3. And at that point, it's like, well, how much money would I have made if I just worked those 2 other days?
Yeah, the cost of your time lost is a big thing, especially like if you get paid by the hour. If you have a service where you could like I could freelance for those 5 hours and make X amount, or I could build.
And you can pay for everything that you're going to have done.
There's things like you're saying you want to do. Like I want to say I built this. Like it's like sometimes you can't justify. Like you're saying like laying tile. Like really like $10,000. Like I get how it's done. It's not like surgery. So it's like I could do it. Like I'll take a few weeks and do it slowly, but I could do it definitely.
Absolutely. And there are certain things that some of the newer material, like the PVC fence. Like I did a PVC fence, and I've done plenty of stockade fences and stuff. And I'm like, it's no big deal. PVC fence, it shows.
Shatters.
It
shatters
shatters.
too when you're
It
trying to
shows
cut it.
Yeah.
if you don't do it exactly right. If you don't gap it exactly right, where it expands and contracts in the right spots, it's gonna crack and it's gonna creak every time you have fucking wind. And I was like, you know what? Never again.
Yeah.
I'll do wood fence fucking all day long.
Yeah.
I'll dig the post and everything. It sucks, but I'll do it, and it's easy and it'll look nice, but I'll never do PVC.
No,
fence again.
I'm so like, hearing that makes me happy that I said right away. Like I read about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that one. Like I want it.
Good choice.
That's where we'll put money to have somebody do that. Yeah.
Good choice.
But given all that stuff's so expensive, it's crazy. Like, and I was saying the other day, like when you buy a house from like renting your whole life, whatever. Once you buy a house, it's funny the things that excite you that didn't excite you in the past. So, like going to Lowe's and like, I bought a lawnmower. Like that's awesome. And it's like, why is that awesome?
Grill, lawnmower, fucking snowblower, all that shit gets you real excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's real interesting to go into Lowe's, especially if you don't need stuff per se for a specific project and you're just looking around and you have some extra money. You're like,
And then you
what
find
could I do?
stuff.
Yeah, you find
you
stuff.
find really random stuff. where
Oh,
you're
we
like,
can do this. Oh, look at this sale. Look, all these mirrors. I can buy all of these mirrors. I'm going to make a mirrored wall. And you start
Yeah.
thinking that you're on HGTV or
Yeah.
something like that. You're the property, one of the property brothers.
Yeah.
Honestly, I rent here. I don't do that much around here as far as the house goes. But if I walk into Home Depot,
You're finding something to do.
I'm there for an hour at least. I'm walking every aisle, seeing what's up. Oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that.
You know, we do need a hot
maybe
tub. Why not?
Yeah, maybe I need this. Maybe I need that. You know.
Yeah. We I was renting this little cottage for 2 years, and like there was no reason to put money into it, and like it wasn't. It looked nice, but it was kind of falling apart. It was old, and I'd like buy things to like do projects, and then just keep the product like for like I was waiting till I move into the house. It's like, what am I doing? Like I'm gonna put 2 days of money in. It's like I'm not gonna feel like tearing it out when we leave. So it's like some people just I don't know. You have that in you where you're like, I just want to do something.
You have
like
to do something.
Do something creative that's different. Absolutely.
You also get real good when you own your own place. You get very good at tinkering with things.
Yeah.
My heat went out the other day. My boiler stopped working, and I guess I'd forgot to change the filter going in, and a piece of gunk got caught in the pump that pumps the oil out of the tank into the burner. And I don't know shit about burners or burner heads or anything, but like anything, you just sort of look at it and then you think about the guy that normally works on your oil burner, and you're like, that guy's a fucking idiot. Like the only reason that he works on burners is because his like uncle or somebody was like, coming to work with me today, and then he learned how to work on burner heads, and all of them are the fucking same. There's like fucking 3 that you could possibly have in the entire country, and so I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna figure that it was Sunday. I said, I can't, I'm going to call my guy, and he's not going to come anyway till Monday.
You might as well give it a try.
I might as well give this a try. I want to take a goddamn shower tonight. So I sat down there, and it took me 3 hours. I took the entire burner head apart. I had the pump out. I had all the screws out of the pump. I'm blowing in the in pipe, spinning the thing, and hearing the air come out. I got it all cleaned out, put it all back together. Put my new filter in that I bought for $1.99, and I had heat that evening. Whereas if I had called the guy, it would have been probably $150 or
Easy.
whatever, easy.
That's
or he could have made something up, and it could have been $700,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have known. But now I know, like, all right, this is how the little pump works. And worst case scenario, I was thinking, all right, if the little pump doesn't work after this, I'm just going to take it to Blackman and go get a new little pump thing on Monday, and then it'll be up and going again. But now it's like you see something, you're like, all right, I could definitely do that.
I haven't thought about that angle, though, being like, I saw this guy who's doing it. I'm definitely smarter than that guy. So, like, why don't I just figure out what's going on?
I know what your oil burner guy is going to listen to this. Never come to your house
No.
again.
He is.
I had a
You're out.
specific.
No, I pay him real well. He does all my flip properties. So no offense. No offense. I'm not going to say your name on the air. Just in case.
He knows who he is. He's going to listen. He knows you called him an idiot.
I had a specific incident like that. My refrigerator broke, and they called a repairman before I was able to get home from work. So I kind of had a feeling there were a couple of different things that were the problem. They called. I get there, and the guy's like, "Yeah, it's this PC board," and I'm like, "All right, yeah, I already kind of looked into that. I already got a price, and the price he was giving me was like 4 times as much."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, you can't do this yourself," and I'm like, I work on $250,000 pieces of equipment every single day. Electromechanical pieces of equipment that make this refrigerator look like a fucking Tinker toy. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could change this PC board out without any problem. But if he was so dead set on, "Oh, you can't do this,"
you have this specific skill set that
it
crushes that.
So I'm going to call you when my refrigerator stops working. We all are. Everyone that listens to the podcast.
When pretty much anything stops working, I'll be able to figure out what's wrong.
But I think, like, a lot, not just that, a lot of industries are banking on ignorance. Like, it's like
100%.
where it's just like anything, and it's like, you know what? I mean, everyone that does anything like that is not even malicious. It's like, yeah, I need to prove that this is what I do. So, like, chances are they're not going to be able to. But if you're talking to somebody that's like a little resourceful, then they'll figure it out.
Right.
It's just how much time you have.
Exactly.
That's what it is, too. Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. And all right, do I have the $150 or $200 to pay this guy? I mean, if it was Monday and I called him and he was like, "I'll be there in an hour," I probably would have been like, "Fuck it, yes."
Yeah.
I'll have hot water in an hour. But on Sunday, I was like, I got nothing else to do. May as well sit down here and learn something for myself.
And now you know that.
We had
Now
a
I know.
nightmare with our dryer here. With the guy we had come fix it, kept fucking up, and then kept fucking up, and then come back and argue with us, and kept fucking up.
And I fixed it in a day for
And
fucking
yeah, Yards
$8.
fixed it in a day as soon as he had time to take it apart and look at it.
It was $8 for a belt.
Yeah.
And I changed the bearing in the washer on the wheel.
See, this is kind of inspiring me now, because like now that like I have a new house, and like if something goes in the fridge, I'm just gonna call someone. I'm gonna call someone. It's like, wait, maybe even though I don't know that, like
Check it out, research it.
I did that. Like a burner went on this brand new gas stove I had, and like I researched it, I was able to figure it out, and the guy came and took it apart. And the problem was what I figured out was the problem. It was just like something weird that I couldn't get at. But you're like, if something's not in warranty, do that with everything. Just if like you have the time, look it up. Yeah,
Look it up.
YouTube is wonderful.
There are YouTube videos on pretty much
the weirdest shit.
everything.
Yes.
now. And it'll be even specific to your brand. You put in, I have a Samsung refrigerator DXY2Z, and you're like, oh look, there's an entire breakdown schematic of it. They show me how to take out every part, and they even tell you what might be wrong based on your symptoms.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's like if somebody looks at your history of videos, like sometimes like what the fuck are you watching?
What are you into?
Before I left to come here, I'm thinking about getting these trees to fill the back of our fence so I don't have to pay for 70 feet of PVC. And it's like I'm looking how to trim them. I'm like
Aphrodite's and
I'm like
Emerald arborvitaes. The 6 foot ones are $80 each. I just bought 20 of them. I have 60 of them in my backyard already.
and I'm like looking how to trim them, and like I just like call myself like, what am I doing? I was like, I don't even have this tree yet, and I was like, I'm not looking at this right. I have better things to do.
Hey,
Leland spruce or emerald arborvitaes are your two cover-up bushes.
Okay.
Like if you want to block people out.
and your search history used to be your porn.
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
how to trim an arborvitae and how to fix my gas burner.
Fucking absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing what the world turns into as you get older and as your interests change and your priorities change.
And the things you get excited about.
Yeah.
Like that's what like it's crazy. Like yeah, you have to spend money, but like Sunday left Lowe's like $400 cheaper. Like psych. Like I got these bags of gravel, these bags of mulch. I got this
Gravel and mulch.
Yeah, I'm big into gravel and mulch right now. I got 26-foot arborvitaes in my driveway. I have a bunch of sections of fence coming, and I'll probably get 20 yards of mulch next week. And you know what? It's springtime. And
Yeah.
that's what we do here on Long Island in the springtime. Ugh. So you're working back to our guest.
Sure.
Away from Bob Vila's Home Improvement, you're working with Roots of Fight right now?
Yeah, I'm doing some stuff for them. For a few licensing companies that another like the licensing comes up again, but like stuff for Waylon Jennings and like a lot of country artists, which is weird. I'm doing right now, and I'm trying to think what else I've going on.
Do you think that's because you sort of work in that like vintage
Yes,
genre?
definitely. Yeah, so it appeals to them. Even like a few surf companies, a few skate companies, like whatever industry that's kind of big in, like it's kind of what I'm pigeonholed in. But I'm definitely looking right now to like I've seen that in the past couple of years. That's what I've been doing. I'd love to kind of go out a little more because I can do other styles. I have a ton in the past, so it's like I'm kind of looking now to kind of move into something new like that.
Here's the thing: if you're working for Roots of Fight, you have to start training again.
I know. I thought that.
As long as we're on the same.
That's where it comes around to.
It always comes back to it.
I know. I
Full
know.
circle.
Have you thought about doing
Training
your own clothing
back.
line again? Is that something that you take under consideration, or no, not at
Not
all?
yet.
No,
It's
a lot of work.
It's a different lifestyle. Like it absorbs everything, and like especially being married now and having a house, like it's so rocky. It's so up and down. Like you can't like if you have to pay bills like for a house, it's totally different. So
I mean, I could offer some home improvement skills if you want to, maybe design some, 6-bar podcast T-shirts or something. I don't know.
absolutely.
I'll teach you jujitsu.
Yeah,
I like
get
this.
some
I like where this is
jujitsu,
going.
some home improvement.
I'll buy you some whiskey.
No, I love whiskey too, so that works.
Or if you were thinking about getting fat, Skank can show you the ropes.
I'm like the best fat guy ever. I keep telling D-Rock to go back to Chubby D, and I'll show him how to be fat.
Consult on that.
He didn't know the first time, so he sucked at it. This time around, he'll have a sensei.
Nice.
He's got a good role
The Mr.
model.
Miyagi of fucking fat guys.
Fat on, fat on. Show me, eat the taco.
Oh, man. I'm so good at being fat.
How'd you get so good at it? Because you used to be a stud muffin.
I'm still a stud muffin. I'm just like a high carb stud muffin.
That's what happens when you peak at 14.
Yeah. Physically, I peaked at 14.
Well, at 14?
Am I the guest all of a sudden? What's going on?
Now you know how I feel every night.
It's a tough interview.
At 14, when you were at your peak, it's a shame you weren't sexually active because then we'd know if there was something wrong with you.
Yeah. Well, I really didn't start getting drunk till like college.
Right.
So yeah. So I was, what, 17, 18?
You're,
Like I never really drank in high school.
When you start
I'm not
drinking,
talking
like,
about your drinking. I'm talking
Yeah.
about your sex.
Well,
think-
yeah, the
do they go
drinking
hand in
affects the
hand?
sex.
Well, yeah, they do go hand in hand. I'm just...
Yeah. If I have sex sober, it's like 10 seconds. Just kidding, ladies.
Does that even constitute sex? Like, would that even constitute rape?
Counts for me. Back to our guest.
One of you get under the spotlight every time.
Yeah,
usually.
somehow it all comes back to me being fat.
Chubby D and the boys.
Or me arguing with Yarborough or something.
Can you make Chubby D and the boys shirts?
Sure.
You need to make, if you're gonna make a shirt, you can make a Chubby D and the Boys shirt. But one of our previous guests, this guy Caleb Garvey, real interesting guy. He's I traded him one of our hats for this man talk.
Yeah, I was reading about his thing. Yeah,
he made a joke about the cow jumping over the moon. Because we were talking about acronyms.
Yeah, it was real fun.
And I was like, oh, yeah, NASA. But really, we were talking about the USDA. And I'm like, oh, NASA. Did NASA, certify whatever? And it turned into a joke. He's like, how do you think the cow jumped over the moon? And I had this idea for a shirt of, like, a cow with rockets for legs, like, going over the moon. I would love for that to be a shirt.
Wait, how did the USDA conversation... Because I thought that was going somewhere totally different.
You're going to have to go listen. I can't tell you.
I can't even follow what he's saying. I don't even know what's going on right
I thought
now.
you were going to say, like, we should make a USDA shirt that has a cow jumping over the moon. I was like, that's a great idea.
Do I really need to? Okay, I'll give you the whole background. We were talking about because his restaurant, the Man Taco, bought a farm to source all their ingredients for the restaurant, livestock, cattle list, and they were talking about how they can't slaughter their own cattle and stuff like that. It's got to be sent to a certified
to be USDA certified. Yeah, I read about that.
I was like, oh, it's like an FDA thing. I slipped up, and it's the USDA, and I'm like, well, I'm not good at acronyms, and somehow another acronym came up shortly after. I think it was CSAs or whatever the hell they are, and I'm like, oh, NASA? Is NASA the ones that do that?
Community supported agriculture.
Yes, and somehow
I know things.
I don't remember the whole. Word for
Making
word.
sense now, though.
But something came up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm bad with acronyms, obviously. I'm like, oh, so what is it, NASA who does that? And he's like, yeah, how do you think the cow jumped over the moon?
Oh, good.
So that's...
Okay.
Yeah, and I thought that'd be a hilarious T-shirt.
It would.
I'm not into the cow with the rocket ships.
I knew you wouldn't be, but that's fine.
I'd be
I like
into a
I'm
cow
simple.
with really buff legs, so he's strong enough to jump over the moon. I like that better.
There's that...
High
I'm
jumping
also
cow?
the dumb one. Yeah, so...
Ladies, pay attention. That's
Yes.
that's a subtle hint. He's into girls with strong legs.
Like
Fat girls with short legs.
If a girl can't do yard work, I don't want it.
So you like hoes that can use a hoe?
Yeah.
Do you have that in your OK Cupid profile?
Something's going in tonight.
Oh my God! Yeah, can we please make you a Tinder?
Oh, you don't have a Tinder?
No, I have a Tinder. I don't use it. It's like Instagram. I made one. I used it for like a half hour, and I don't use it.
Okay, well you should. I'll manage it for you.
I think we should manage. We should manage it. I think we should manage it like real
As a
time
group.
on social media as a group.
Yeah.
Through the Sixth Borough podcast.
That would do really well.
Yeah.
That's like a show of its own.
It would be awesome.
We
And we'll go on dates with you too. We'll just like hang out. We'll like hang out at the table next
These
to you.
mics and my laptop are portable, so we're good.
Matt, we'll make a T-shirt for your date.
Every day has a T-shirt.
I'm not against that, but I thought Tinder was all about hookups.
Same
Like
thing.
Instagram's about dick pics.
Only your Instagram. He has pictures of fake phalluses on his
We have a dick
Instagram.
mug. We have a coffee mug that has a penis
Oh.
as a handle. That's the only. That's the
hold
only
on,
dick
hold
pic
on.
I put up.
Let's give Matt the background because, like, I made I made Skanga a Instagram years ago and he never used it. So he was complaining tonight about the pictures that we've put up of the group. After the podcast, I look terrible in all my pictures. So
No, I have one awful picture and then group pictures. Everyone has like a cool picture by themselves, at least one. So
Well, anyway, he was complaining about it, and he had some requests about the pictures. I'm like,
yeah, this is
we'll,
for Tommy D, by the way.
we'll see to your request. I was like, but you got to start using your fucking Instagram. He's like, fine. So we got on it tonight. He's like, so Instagram, dick pictures or what? He's like, "Her chick's gonna send me nudes. I gotta send out dick pics." Is that
Like, nah, this is how this goes down.
It goes. That's how it goes down in the DM Skanga.
Yeah.
There's just gonna be
What's the
There's
DM?
gonna be dudes sending you dick pics in the private messaging function on
Wait,
Instagram.
no, I don't want their dick pics.
Oh, you're gonna get it. I wish we had a real listener base because you'd get flooded with dicks tonight.
We can make
If
that.
I get any dicks tonight,
Oh, I can't wait. Everybody, if you're listening, at Bulk Hogan _86, send Skanga dicks.
Dick pics.
They don't even have, it doesn't have to be your dick either. Just send them dicks.
No, he's gonna get inundated.
I hope not. We're not that popular yet. I mean, we have a lot of friends and listeners, but I don't think
We're
anyone's
popular
listening
enough that
tonight.
you're going to get quite a few dicks.
I'm sending you one right now.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe they're gonna come from girls. That might be like pretty good for you.
Dick pics from girls?
Yeah, they might be hitting on you. It might be like their way in, like their icebreaker.
Why would they send me a dick pic?
Because we just told them.
I
to.
want nudes from them, and I'll send them dick pics.
You're missing the point, asshole. It might. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm missing it. Sorry. My phone rang from fucking Instagram. Now that you got me on it, I'm distracted.
So this is why we're gonna manage your Tinder profile.
Yeah, you can't handle.
I'm into girls that do yard work.
I'm not saying I want them to do yard work. I want them to be able to do yard work.
Hashtag hoes with
If I
hoes.
need some help,
Like girls with big calves that would be like good at lifting wheelbarrows.
yeah, if you can't carry 2 cinder blocks from the front of the house to the back of the house, get the fuck away from me.
Can you?
How are
do
they
that?
going to carry you?
Yeah, they got to be able to carry you home drunk if they're gonna date you,
No,
They don't have to carry him home. They just have to drive him to his car the next morning.
and hold his
Yeah.
hair back when he vomits.
I don't vomit that often.
He's classy because it outside, though.
I hear. Yeah, you don't vomit that often. I don't know about that.
It's not that often.
I hear it.
I
You
threw
both
up like
live here
2
together?
weeks ago
Yeah,
because
all
I
three of
didn't
us.
cook that.
Oh,
sausage
really?
enough.
Yeah, me, Skang, and Yarbrough live here.
I probably threw up maybe 4 or 5 times since I lived here in 2 years almost.
No.
Yeah,
Maybe you've been so blackout that you don't remember throwing up.
I don't throw up when I black out. I throw up when I
How do
wake
you
up
know
in the
what you
morning.
do when you black out?
True.
He draws pictures.
Yeah,
Actually, that picture needs to go up on the Instagram.
there's 0 throw ups in that picture
Lots
of
of
my blackout
boobs.
that I drew.
Palm trees,
Yeah.
taxis, dollar bills.
You know, we got off topic, guys. All right. Let's get back to our guest.
Back to the guest.
All right, we can argue about this off the air. Dicks.
Oh, someone's uncomfortable in the spotlight.
No, I love the spotlight, but I'm not the guest tonight. The spotlight's not on me. It's on our guitar playing, right? Guitar and
Guitar,
Antarabe.
yep.
Matt Gorton, right? Gorton?
You said it right.
Gordon? I kind
It
of
just-
said it with a D.
Well, I say it wrong. I say
sounded with a D.
like Gordon, but it's not. It's Gorton.
You say your own name wrong.
Because it's so uncomfortable to say it right. Like Gorton.
Why is that uncomfortable?
That doesn't make sense. T-O-N.
Isn't that what the fisherman is? Gorton's?
No,
Yeah.
Gordon.
No, it's Gorton's.
Is it?
It's spelled the same way. I'm not related,
It's
unfortunately.
Gorton's fisherman. It's Gorton.
Very poorly.
Just a Gorton's fisherman.
Is it uncomfortable to say just because it's so similar to Gordon?
Yes.
My last name is Ott, which is like it's bizarrely short.
Yeah.
And not only am I asked to, I'm
Is that
always
right?
asked to repeat it, but usually I have to repeat it twice and then spell it. Ott. What was that? What's the rest? No, just Ott. O-T-T. And I've gotten a habit of saying that over the years. And after I got married,
OTT?
yeah. After I got married, my wife's. I always have to repeat my last name now. That
You're like,
I'm
oh, welcome
married
to this shit.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, welcome to this world. You have to spell it too, but just spell it. It'll be easier than repeating it 4 times. Say it twice, and if they don't get it after the second one, just say OTT. That's it. OTT.
Quicker, yeah.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I still haven't figured out how I feel about it. Like, for some reason, people love my name. They love my last name.
That's a tough name to spell right off the bat, though.
Della Rocca?
Yeah, I've never.
So easy. It's all vowels.
Is there an H in there?
An H? Why would there be an H?
I always put an H in there.
Delha,
Like
Rocca, and
No, I throw an H somewhere by the C's.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Rochester.
I'm not a good speller.
I feel like this is like a scene out of Tommy Boy. Who's like
Well,
8709er.
Zach
Did I hear a niner in there?
from
That's what's throwing me off.
Roca.
Yeah, but there's no H in there. Isn't it ROCKA?
I think it's
No,
ROCHA.
Yeah,
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, I don't know. Well, whatever. it's phonetically, I guess, it's easy and it rolls off the tongue well.
It does.
If I go to the DMV, like I get marriage proposals at the DMV from like women. It's happened like 2 or 3 times where women are like, "Oh, I love your last name. I'd marry you just for your last name." And it's weird. People just like say, like, remember Eric when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, Master Mansoor would scream my last name. He loved saying my last name. We'd be doing warm-ups. He'd be like, "De La Roca!" I don't know. He just loved saying it. It's weird.
I have a last name like that too, and like people, one can't ever spell it and can't pronounce it, and it's bro. It's not very hard, very difficult, and Zach De La Roca is.
That's what threw me off for life.
Okay.
But that name is a weird mix of letters people aren't used to spelling with.
Right.
Like Y-E... Is that what it is?
It's Y-A-R.
Good thing you're a designer. You're a horrible speller.
Horrible.
Do people like spell check you for your designs?
I have fucked up spelling and designs before, yes. Not good grammar either.
But yeah, I've gotten Yardsboro. I'm like, there's no fucking D in there. I'm like, where are you getting it? You're just adding fucking letters to my name that don't even exist. So Yardsboro. I had teachers in school like that would do that, and I'm like, and you're supposed to be teaching me. You can't read my name off the fucking ledger right here, but
yeah, like my name
teach me?
I don't like saying it, but it's simple. Like, and teachers fuck it up all the time. Just close to Gordon, which I guess is a lot more common.
Yeah.
And well, that combination of letters, it's easy to have a T sound like a D.
Yes.
So I forgive people for that. But my name is Della Rocca, and people are always like Della Rocco, Delar Rocco. Like, how do you fuck that up? I don't understand. It's an A, Della Rocca.
Is there any caps in there?
Yeah, it's weird because like my name is Della capital Rocca. So a lot of times people think that Della is my middle name, which I get. I can understand that, but pronouncing it wrong.
No. Yeah.
It's so easy to pronounce. I don't know, like
because if you were Spanish, it would be like that.
Yes, probably.
De La, which is 2.
Yeah. But even like Saturday night, the guy butchered my name at the fights.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it always happens. Everybody. I don't know how.
If it's sitting in front of you, there's no reason you should fuck that up.
He came backstage and asked me, how do I pronounce your name? I told him, and he goes, what about your opponent? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, I don't know, man.
Here's a good idea. Ask him.
That's what I said. I'm like, go ask him.
He's like 10 feet away.
Keith, you should have seen Eric. If you were there, it's classic Keith. Keith looked at this guy. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like Keith is beside himself with this guy. He's like, this guy for real? He's like, I'm trying to warm up my guy. Like, get out of here. Keith looked so mad at him. It was fucking hilarious. And I was like, you seriously?
But on top of his job as being an announcer, it's like,
I don't know what his job is. I don't know. But he just, like, why are you asking me this, dude? It's 5 minutes away from me getting ready to walk out to fight, and you're asking me about my opponent's name? Do you think I know? Like, go ask him, stupid.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But
so at this point, guys, I think we should probably wrap this up. We've covered quite a bit of things and went on many tangents down a couple of world.
We went a little off topic a couple times.
Sorry about that.
No, don't apologize. That's the whole point. It was a good conversation, and you know what? It leaves the door open for you to come back.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
We'd love to have you back, and maybe next time you drink more than 2 beers, you baby.
Try to keep it coherent.
Well, actually, no. He's getting on the keto. Yeah, he's getting on the keto